Hello and welcome, everybody, and welcome to our sacred blasphemy, Holy Trinity, the girls, the Goths, the gays live stream. This is your special host, Jasmine Ambrosia. I am a high priestess, a cult instructor, owner of Third Eye Fortunes. You can follow my links down below, right? But I would love to open the floor to my very special co-host today. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney. I'm owner of Crafton Magick, a tarot reader, a cult enthusiast, teacher of the runes. Hail to Freya, hail to Odin, and hail to the Dark Mother. Okay.
Period, Pooh. Period.
And you can find me on the YouTubes. I'll have more occult conversations, book reviews, tarot readings, rune readings, and a little bit more than that soon.
And Crafton is a coven daughter and coven sister of mine. Okay. So can we get a hoorah for the Solar Court Coven?
Hoorah!
Hoorah.
Okay, next step. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Ace with Ace Readings. Full-time tarot reader, part-time medium is what I like to call myself. I would consider myself a bit of a spiritualist, eclectic pagan. I draw power from the sun and the moon and respect them for what they are. You can find me on Ace Readings through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. I believe they're plugged in below. And that's me.
And you guys, Ace is not a part of the Solar Court Coven, but Ace is still my child in the craft, okay?
Absolutely.
And matter of fact, I've been actually wanting to do a live with Ace, talking about Ace's experience with a very much crash course in palmistry. So
yeah.
Ace, we gotta talk later about that.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta talk later about that because I want you to tell the kids about the real true tea about taking classes, because I know that you've had quite a bit of experience prior to, with divination, but then you took my classes and you became my son, and yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Absolutely.
So, okay, next guest, go ahead.
Hi, I'm the Nerdy Warlock. You can find me on Instagram at the Nerdy Warlock. I'm also on YouTube. I'm a Celtic-minded warlock, and I work with goblins and elvish energy. And also, I do OM readings, since we're plugging readings.
Absolutely.
I do OM or OGUM, and you can book that with me through Instagram as well.
Wonderful. And the Nerdy Warlock is someone who I have loved on YouTube for a very long time. Okay? Very long time. I think you're great. And I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
So we have a couple of topics to discuss. We're going to talk about what is going on in Washington, D.C. We are going to talk about what is going on with the witch hunting church. And we are going to talk about the gods of the girls, the goths, and the gays, the LGBT. What should we start with first? What do you guys want to talk about first?
I mean, I think we should talk about Capitol Hill first, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's more pressing.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I mean, literally, and excuse me, I have a kitty cat over here that wants to say hello. But overall, the bull swanky that happened on Capitol Hill would have happened. We could say it's because they aren't people of color. We could say that these cops were actually knowing about what was going to happen and only kind of played around with some folk. Because, I mean, they literally had press. We have, like, this horned animal person. We don't claim that child. We don't claim that child at all. intolerant neo-Nazis. There were some people of color in there too that were also hateful, and we don't claim them either.
No.
That right there. That right there. Well, and what about this peculiar individual who was like trying to show up as like a Norse pagan or something? Like, what is this? Like, okay.
Fur and like the face paint and stuff.
Yeah. He had the Mjolnir. He had the through the what is it, like the triple triangle thing?
Oh, the Valknut.
Yes.
Yeah, the Valknut. He had the Tree of Life, technically Yggdrasil. Like, his name is Jake Enbelly.
And on Twitter, they call him the QAnon shaman, apparently.
That was so strange. Everybody was asking me, shaman of what? I'm like, baby, I don't know. Being a moron? A literal idiot?
Okay,
Yeah.
the QAnon shaman.
QAnon, as in like Q anonymous.
As in like the conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a no from me, babe.
Literally, literally, like, was never a part of my community, was never a part of our community, does not stay here. Like, Freya don't claim that, and neither does Odin, baby. No. We don't claim these children. Those are lost individual souls. Lost. Apparently, some of the buddies that he was with were also neo-Nazis. And apparently they have like some kind of gym, and they essentially use like Norse and Germanic symbolism as a part of some of their advertising. So sick, twisted individuals. I've found a couple of links where this weird horned one who's really going to just make the Norse pagan community look terrible, make Asatru look like a fool and all that. But yes, let me see too, because I do have like the official statement from the Asatru community as well.
Please.
So we of the TAC, the Asatru Community Inc., you can find them on Facebook. We of TAC denounce any and all who would use our symbols and attempt to appear as our faith to make statements counter to our peaceful, inclusive, and accepting doctrine, beliefs, and way of life. The below image, for any unaware, is a man wearing our symbols, accompanied by others as they took over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. today. We do not condone the use of symbols to spread hatred, and so we have the shield wall. Shield Wall is an effort to unite the heathen community. Together we denounce all those who are abusing our faith to spread hatred and negativity. If you're interested in standing with TAC against the hatred and negativity of our faith, come sign our Shield Wall here, and you can find that on their website at the asatrucommunity.org/shieldwall.
I think he was one of the people who was also wearing at one point like a cape, a flag that had a Spartan helmet on it with like the U.S. flag over the Spartan helmet. So he was like bringing down all kinds of pagan cultures there.
Literally. Just foolery. I mean, I don't know. I know for a fact I'm not down with it. I know they would never do. I want to say that they wouldn't do that to people of color, especially Black people. But there were people of color in there. Again, we do not claim them. I don't claim them. My ancestors don't either. So,
what
do you guys think
about him? Oh, sorry, what?
No. Oh, I was just saying. I was like, what do you guys think?
Hello, hi. Well, the thing that upsets me the most about that individual was I was watching the news all day, like literally, and both on CNN and on MSNBC, whenever they would bring up his image, they would put him with taglines of like shaman, pagan, alt-right, like together. And that's upsetting because we already don't get visibility in the mainstream and in pop culture anyway, like in a positive light. And so when we do, this is what we get. Like, I did not like that because it was like subconscious discrediting of us as a serious philosophy and path, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I kind of wonder because I've seen pictures with him without those tattoos. And I kind of feel as though he, like, purposely got these symbols knowing,
I thought you were going to say that were like Sharpie drawings. I was ready.
Look, I'm just saying,
I wouldn't put it past them.
Trump made them covert, but we already knew the tea on Twitter, okay? We already saw this coming. Diabolical, insulting to our intelligence. Like, you think we don't know what you're doing? Oh, concede, babe. No, you lost. You lost so many times it wasn't even funny. Sweetheart.
Right. What I think is unfortunate too is that it took the events that have unfurled today and are still unfurling for Republican senators and congressmen and women to finally put aside their differences and embrace bipartisanship. That's what it took.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because their lives were endangered.
Oh yeah.
Quote unquote. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Mm.
Woo! Honey. Hello, somebody.
Bless
I
you.
want to take a moment here to just say hello to all of our viewers. Hello, Kitty. Hello, Animus. Thank you for moderating this chat. Hello, Star Ruby. Grazie. Hello, Morningstar. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Ace, what do you have to comment about what is going on in DC right now?
I don't have a whole lot to say, honestly. I just think it's a whole lot of shenanigans that they're getting away with.
What sort of shenanigans? Let's get specific.
They stormed the building, tore down the American flag, replaced it with a Trump flag. A poor woman got shot in the neck and died. Did anybody? I mean, I could go on, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're rioting because of an election that they lost. They're throwing a huge temper tantrum. Meanwhile, the riots or what started out as peaceful protests in a lot of places was for good reason. What caused these people to go from peaceful protests to riot? Where was the tear gas? Where was the rubber bullets? Were innocent people getting attacked? I don't think so. So that's kind of where that's what's really burning me up right now. And what's really bothering me is knowing that these privileged people get away with a whole lot more than people with some science.
I will also say too, I feel like it's very much a privilege in the organization they're a part of. Because at least like the footage I was seeing, I mean, I saw a man of color like literally going off over the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, this is our country, you know what I mean? And we have a right, like we're doing this for a reason while you let all this other stuff go on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They listen to their leader. That's how you know there is definitely something underground, and we can find it online. The shit's easy.
Hello.
Okay, some of these alt-right groups, the Antifa, like we got all the code words to figure this out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Jake,
just like,
okay, so Jake, give us some ending thoughts here about what is going on in DC.
Okay, so I think the whole last 4 years in general have taught us that people do not like to share power that has been given to them.
mm-hmm.
Whether it was power they gained on their own or were just gifted from birth. They don't like sharing power. They don't like it as much as they may say that they do. And so I think today in particular was the culmination, I hope the culmination, of mostly white people not wanting to share power, political, social, whatever. Luckily, I think they were met with resistance that shows that whether you want to relinquish the power or not, the power is being shared. It's being pulled away. And as for number 45.
Because we will call him 45. Exactly.
His failure to dismiss them is not surprising. He's subconsciously supported them for 4 years. And today I think we saw that finally overtly when he said that they were very special, quote, and he said, quote, "I love you."
Yeah.
So
those are his kids. Okay.
Those are his kids.
Speak on it.
Right.
I got my Taco Bell right here, okay?
But I think
So let's go back to. I mean, he knows he's right now the leader of our country. He knows exactly what to say to get people riled up. He knows exactly what to do to play to the fears and anxieties of people, and he has a voice to broadcast it everywhere. He had full opportunity to start a problem, and he did. And this is what it's led to.
Yeah. I think the only thing that really gives me hope about the future going forward, besides the fact that he's going to be gone in 2 weeks, because while he may be out of the office, he's still going to be around and in the media and in the news for probably the rest of his life. So I think the one thing that gives me hope is looking back at history and seeing leaders who are very similar to him and seeing how history remembers them, which is not fondly. That gives me hope that going forward, future generations, in mass anyway, will not cling to his teachings for the future.
We pray to the dark goddess on that.
You got to. You got to. Okay.
Little something.
Hold this up for later.
Little something.
Okay, can we get a nail cam? A little nail cam here.
Okay.
Marski.
Okay.
You got to, okay.
The crunch wrap
So-
background and everything.
So our next topic at hand, and I will say, hello, Jen Benny. Hello, Eshara Noctanes. Thank you all for joining. Love that you all are here. Make sure that you like this video, share this video, of course, and promote your local witches. Hello. So our next topic is the video that I posted earlier.
Ooh.
Okay. The
Ooh.
video I posted earlier. The expose.
Exposés on Wednesday. Exposés on Wednesday. Exposés on Wednesday. Exposés on Wednesday. Exposés on Wednesday.
So, the Chicago Witch Hunters Church. Did y'all see the video?
Ooh.
Mhm.
Y'all might have seen me because I was trolling everybody.
Let's get into the gig. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I mean, I trolled people far and wide, as above, so below with me. I was trolling people who were like, oh, but, pagan women aren't beautiful. They have heavy, heavy filters. I'm like, shut up, Karen. Ain't nobody listening to you with your ugly ass hair. Ain't
Just 'cause
nobody
they
listening to
don't
you.
look a filter.
Oh, literally. I'm like, so Susan, we've never had a Snapchat before. I literally, she was like, well, it's not like you need to watch this video. No one has, something to your head. I'm like, interesting, but because I think it is you and this man folk. She was like, I don't even know what that means. I was about to be like, sis, are you LGBTQ? Since you don't know what a man folk is, okay, baby, what's going on? Let me find out you're part of
And
the club.
okay, exactly. And Crafton, I don't want to interrupt.
Yes.
And we're going to resume. Okay.
Mhm.
But can I just say, like I said, in the live stream, because believe it or not, some witches do work with LHP. If you don't know what LHP is, it's the left hand path. Okay.
Okay.
Luciferianism, Satanism, and the like. Here's my
That's
thing.
Morningstar.
Here's my thing. If Satan, if the holy trinity of Satan, the devil, and Lucifer is so terrible, why am I so hot though? That's all I gotta say. Crafton, go back to it. I just had to put that in there.
Look, you were the one like talking to him the most. I basically got in very late because I wanted to just charge in and let them know, like, hey, let one of these homegirls talk. Because one of the witches was unable to, speak her voice. So I was like, hey.
Absolutely, because I think he had a hard on.
Mhm.
Can we talk about it?
Mhm.
I think he had a hard on for me
Mhm.
because of the silicone, the saline, the lashes, the nails, the acrylics.
Well, he's never had a beautiful woman actually speak to him.
He's never seen Venezuelan persuasion. So he was like, oh, you look like a witch. You look like a Satanist. Let me have you up here on my live stream so that way I can show the church, because he's a pastor. Don't forget that.
Okay.
I can show the church what a Jezebel spirit looks like.
Bless it.
And look, if I have to be the face of the Jezebel spirit, honey, I will be it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, Crafton, go ahead.
Look, all I'm going to say is he was rude, argumentative. This was an inclusive conversation. His little friend, James or whoever, like, bless his heart, because this child didn't even know what metaphysics was. He's like, I walked into a crystal shop. I had like a little meditation. I had a little guru session and all that. And now came to the church with my wife. I've seen the light, I've seen God, seen him. Now we believe. Because that mysticism over there, them crystals is mysticism. That's occultism. I'm like, babe, they're crystals, bruh.
They're crystals.
It's a mineral, babe.
They're of the earth.
Right. Like the way he was set up, I was just like, so you just let people talk. So I'm like, so in the eyes of your Lord and Savior, baby, you are a sheep, but not to the Lord, baby. You a sheep just to be a sheep. You just follow, because this man, Joe, like, he barked at everybody, at anything. I was putting him up on game like, babe, we talk about hell as in like the goddess hell, like the dark mother hell, where those who die maybe in a plague, maybe like COVID-19, maybe like, not in battle. You know what I mean? They did not physically fight. They land in hell's realm, in Helheim, in Niflheim. Okay? He's like, right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm not a colonizer. Why? Because Vikings were colonizers. I'm like, we knew that though, bruh. Like, we knew that. So he decided to cut me out of the video and all. And I was just like, okay, boo-boo the fool.
Can we also just say how he silenced not one, but multiple women of color?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and he didn't want to speak to anybody of color. I could see that because he had a man of color. So he wanted to have a representation of, oh, well, this person here is converted to God. Why don't you? That those crystals, them pagans, those witches. I'm like, baby, I'm not even against God. I don't have an issue with God. You have an issue with my gods.
God's not my fan.
You know.
Hey,
Hey,
Hello.
babe.
Can
What's
we
up, y'all?
please just give Samuel a warm welcome? Thank you so much for coming on to the live stream for the girls, the goths, and the gays in the Holy Trinity. Hello, somebody.
Okay.
what's cooking, y'all?
So we're talking about this witch hunting church. I'm sure
Okay.
I sent you the video. Did you see it?
I didn't watch the video, but I did watch the live that they had.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Hang on. Okay.
Please.
Hold, please. Hold,
Hold,
So does
please.
this fall in line with like the video that was posted last night, Jasmine, that you and I were commenting on? I think Cindy, you were in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Honey,
Is
I
that
was
the
trolling
same?
in the streets.
Yeah, same. All I kept saying was hex. But I will say that I didn't watch the whole thing. I probably should have, so I can have a little bit more of my 2 cents put in there. But what I did watch, they brought up spiritualism, but they kept calling it spiritism. And I was like, okay, if you're going to come for us, say it right so you can sound educated. If you're going to try and make a witch hunt, get some education under your belt. If you're just going to try and push your agenda essentially and help people come to the bright side, I mean, this all boils down to, this isn't just a video of one person, like I told you the other night. I was in a subway the other night talking about how I'm a full-time reader, and she was like, oh honey, that's demonic, that's not good. I was like, Mandy, make my sandwich, this is what I'm doing. And that's it.
Not Mandy.
So
Said Mandy more.
Mandy, no more. But, at one point he was like, they just pick and choose. I heard the guy say, well, they just pick and choose what they want from the Bible.
Uh-huh. Of course they do, because they
What are
praise
you
a
guys
false
doing?
god.
And what are you guys doing? I want to know what you guys are doing so differently.
Hello.
I honestly would like to know. If you're not going to expound on that, then like you have nothing else to say on it. Don't come for the spiritists.
The issue really was when he kept having to Google the Bible.
Right.
I know people who, like,
Thank you.
they literally live with their faith on their heart. I know people who say it with their chest. Okay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm just literally like, so you had to Google what you had to say. I'm confused. And then every time I'm seeing you, your face gets red, you get hot, sweaty, uncomfortable, and you just get mad and upset.
Well, and here's my thing, and I want to make this clear. I want to make this clear as Jasmine Ambrosia, as a high priestess, as an instructor, right? As a solar court. We have nothing against Christians.
Right.
Like, live and let live. Like, baby, if that is your truth, that's wonderful. If you're a Methodist, a Lutheran, a Catholic, a Baptist, whatever, like, that's wonderful. But when you come to local businesses and attempt to colonize these businesses and harass them, and when you say things like you want to torch a local business or you want to stone a witch, that's a little problematic. And yeah, I'm going to take an issue with it.
Yep.
So I just want that to be clear. We have no issue with Christians. Witches have no issue with Christians. Believe it or not, there are Christian witches out there.
Yes.
Now, it's shocking. Okay, they exist. Okay.
Yep.
We have no issue with Christians. The issue is the colonization. The issue is the perversion of the doctrine. The issue is trying to force your God down our throat. Okay, Warlock, will you speak on this, please?
I mean, you guys covered it pretty well. I mean, you said everything there was to say. That's why I was just sitting back and listening. But I mean, what do I have to add? Like, some people are extreme and they're crazy, and all they want to do is gaslight you and get you to say something that they can play at their sermon on Sunday to be like, look, this is the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you don't let your children go on the internet. Like,
Literally.
I really feel like that's what his goal was in talking to you, Jasmine, was he wanted to show, like, this is the face of the enemy. This is someone who says that she's, like, one with, like, hell with 2 L's.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is her. Protect your children. Don't become that. Like, I really think he was trying to find a face for his agenda.
Literally.
Well, and I want to say too, for any of you watching, any of the viewers out there watching, if you would like to join this live discussion, I would love to send you a link. So just comment down below if you would like a link. I will post a link in the chat. And I encourage anybody and everybody, be it a witch or not, be it a pagan or not, a Satanist or not, a Christian or not, to join this discussion and we can have a conversation. Yes, she did say that. Hello, somebody, okay?
Hello, a dialogue.
But that's the difference between. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. I do want to go back and mention something that Jasmine had said about pagans and witches not hating Christians. I think it's very plain to note that an abundance of people that call themselves practitioners of any type of magical tradition or path generally do come from a Christian background. And
exactly.
We come to this practice, this path, whatever it is, due to what's most likely religious trauma. So it's not that we hate Christians. It's just more so that we have a lot of negative past experiences regarding our own lives with that religion. So it's not against the people who practice it. It's just about the people who like committed, like she said, like a violence, or they said a violence against us in some manner. So that.
Well, and I want to say too, to piggyback off of what you said, exactly. We do not hate Christians. This idea that witches are anti-Christian is ludicrous. Can we look at the book of Psalms? Like, can we really take a look at the book of Psalms? Can we take a look at the Satya? Can we take a look at the witchcraft and the magic and the astrology and the divination that is in the Quran? Can we take a look at the Kabbalah? Can we take a look at the witchcraft that is in the Torah? Like, can we really pay homage to this? You know, I think a lot of witches who come onto this path more likely have come from Abrahamic traditions. So no, we do not shun anybody. You know, we also, I think this is important too, because I was accused of this as a high priestess. We do not try to convert anybody into practicing witchcraft. No, we don't. I've been in the craft, I've been in the occult for over a decade now, and never, ever have I ever tried to make a witch, baby. I've never tried to do that. Okay.
But, you know, like talking about the Bible and witches, I mean, the Bible even recognizes a very famous witch, the witch of Endor, you know, which summons the spirit of, what was it, Samuel for Saul, for King Saul. So, like, they recognize the power of a witch. But I also think it relates to the fact that witchcraft is typically, historically, generationally used by marginalized people to
exactly
change
Samuel
political people, you know, whatever it is, you know, people that oppress them. So witchcraft, therefore, is the craft of the oppressed people. And relating this to LGBT, I mean, like, Queens, we've been oppressed for generations. So,
period, poo.
Period.
Right. And when magic is done by someone powerful in the Bible, like Moses or King Solomon, it's just called miracles.
Yeah. Or it's divine. You know? So when the lay person, when the people that couldn't read, write, barely speak a language, you know, when they have a power that others cannot access, they become dangerous and therefore demonized. So familiar spirits, like nature spirits, become immediately demonic and associated with the devil and Lucifer or whoever they want to blame it on. You know, there is a, I love Ogun. He's the shit. Also kind of scary, but that's okay. All the Orishas are a little scary in some way. But aren't all deities kind of scary in some way?
Okay.
But like I said, anyway, back to the point, like the Bible recognizes the power of the witch, recognizes the forces we can command, you know, to some extent. So they want to demonize people that have power that they can't access. So that's why they were saying that witchcraft is bad, because when you're able to claim powers and energies that were just used for them and are only allowed for them, we become a danger.
And notice here what Samuel said. The powers they cannot access.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because certain things are for the initiated. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I just wrote something. Actually, I've been working on my grimoire a lot recently about the art of staying silent. You know, silence. And I wrote in there that part of like the path of being silent is not like outing other witches, and relating this back to this group. Not outing other witches is kind of that way of staying safe, keeping it sacred, keeping the craft and practice sacred, you know, if only just to protect yourself and the people that you're around. Because I saw them on Facebook and I couldn't give less of two shits about these people, in my opinion. If they really want to try and come at me, I will gladly hop my beautiful little ass to the stake, queen. I am... I'm going to have a Balenciaga moment from American Horror Story. And I will go up in flames gladly to the pyre if that is going to be that big of a deal. Obviously, don't want that to happen. But if I really felt like these people were anything more than just the witchcraft version of the Westboro Baptist Church, I couldn't say anything about it. You know, like who are they really affecting? And if people really want to say they're not going to be okay with like witchcraft is evil, I was told that my whole life, and yet here I am, a practicing pagan witch. Right. So if it's your path, whoever it is, no matter how demonized it is made to be, you'll find it at some point. Which is why I think it's important to mention what Jasmine said previously about how we don't make witches. That's just not how it works. You know, people that are not interested in witchcraft are not going to practice witchcraft because it's a lot, you know, it's not easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's just not something people are willing to do, you know, frequently and from my experience. So yeah, we're not making witches. Witches are made in of themselves and born of that witch fire queen, because it's just
Thank you. And okay, so can one of you who have the link to join the live stream, please post it in the chat? I'm having some technological difficulties. You know that Grandma Jazz is not good with the technology. So if we can post a link, because I have some people, my phone has been going off the hook with people wanting to speak their truth about this matter. So if we can just post the link in the description or the comment section or whatever it's called.
Can only the host do that though?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Because I don't have like a way to actually add anything in the comments. I can look at them, but I can't like post anything in there.
I can post something.
Because I don't have a login. I'm sorry, y'all.
Let me find the link.
They're like, you can be a guest.
So I'm curious what you guys think about doing anything about this group of people. You know, I feel like oftentimes, I can tell you myself, like, if someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm immediately like, okay, make a Papa doll, give me some pins, or water and some rusted nails, let's get this shit together, you know, and then I immediately get over it because, like, they just cut me off in traffic and I'm just in my head, like, seething. But I'm curious what you guys think about a best course of action to, if people are really, if witches and pagans are rather concerned about this group of people. I think like I said, I think it's oftentimes easy to want to say you want to hex people, curse people, la 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 la, you know, when in all reality, there's just no reason to throw a boulder at like a pebble, you know. So would it be more poignant to just keep yourself protected and wait until something happens that's of danger and of concern? Because if you're throwing curses left and right at a group of people that really don't have any like actual true grit behind them, you're wasting your time, your energy, your spirit, your soul, just you're wasting your ingredients. I mean, shit, cursing ingredients are not that, or that's a lot to do. I mean,
they're not cheap, and neither is the energy that you do with it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what you think your course of action would be if you decide to take an action.
I would start off, because I said this in a comment the other night, is, you know, we're not doing anything to attack you guys, but if you keep coming at us, if you corner us, like, keyword is corner us, then we'll take action. I want to start off with, like, some sort of just simple protection, because from what I saw in the videos, they're just spouting a lot of ignorance. Maybe nothing will come of that, but people that follow that ignorance are going to take it to the extremes. So you got to be careful of those people that take it to the extreme. So obviously protect yourself, some sort of reflection, whatever, you know, all the way back to when we were kids, you know, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say, you know what I'm saying, right?
The actual invocations.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think something like that would, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because if nothing happens, you're still protected and nobody's hurt at the end of the day. But if we're cornered, if there's physical harm that comes of our brothers and sisters, if they go to the extreme of taking action, then yes, it is our turn and we won't hold back.
I fully believe, you know, Hex Girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Okay.
Cause I'm a hex girl and I'm gonna put a spell on you.
So my full thing is, like, if whatever form of divination you choose to use, I would ask, you know, work with your gods. If you do work with gods, if you don't, you know, trust yourself, trust your intuition and what you really need. I personally have been thinking, pull cards just to see, like, is there any danger coming towards me? You know what I mean? Is there any current thing outside of me that is trying to harm me, my hearth, my home, my babies? You know, my fur baby. You know what I mean? Things like that, for one. For two, if you have protections in place, maybe just start adding a little bit more. If your cards are saying, hey, you need to probably, you know, pull a little couple things here and there, then we're probably doing something simple. A little trapping, a little trap work. Okay. But I'm here for the sneak. I'm here for special ingredients. You know what I mean?
Love a special ingredient.
You know, when you get to hunt them down.
Yes. Yeah. Walk through the forest. Oh my God. Pick up a special mushroom. Something. You know.
Okay.
Lick a tree.
Whatever you gotta do.
Whatever you have to do. Yes. Yeah.
But I fully believe in that. Do your protective barriers. Put some protection for your car. I don't have it with me, but idea. I made like these little Vegvasirs. So Vegvasirs are usually used for safe travels. So I have them basically in a circle, and I drew them. Essentially, it's kind of, some people say it's more of like the Nordic compass, and that's kind of how I see it. It's supposed to get you safely, get you home safely. So what the Vikings may have had to do, or anyone in Sweden or Iceland or Norway had to do for themselves, and Scandinavia had to do, put that some kind of protection in your car. I already have some protection in my car, but I'm just going to add heavy duty.
A little bit more.
I'm probably going to chant over it and say a couple of things of like, anybody that touches my car, you know, you're burning. You know what I mean?
Invocation. Any words to say with anything, just instantly adds a good layer on top. Get your hex playlist, kids. You know what I mean? For me, it's very much like I
understand they may not be anything right now, but the way this year is already starting off, we are literally I think we're in the quarter of Libra right now. So, and we're still waiting, and it's going to be a dark moon on the 13th. Okay. Y'all know what I'm putting down.
I think this is a good time for like new witches, anybody new to the craft or anything like that. Get at least one good protection spell down. At least one good protection spell.
This is the homework.
If you can only do one good protection spell, you have all of the ingredients at your house, altar space, whatever it is.
And find your other local witches. Find your other metaphysical stores. And I mean, metaphysical stores that sell hoodoo candles. Okay. I'm talking about the colorful candles, the novenas, baby. I'm not talking. I'm not saying some stores won't have it. I'm saying some stores won't talk about it like that. It might be a little more love and light on some of these places. So you need to be covert and careful with how you're asking for certain ingredients. Okay. But I'm also your girl in the occult. So if you need a place to go, I'm there on Saturdays at Spiritual Gardens. Okay.
I get that shameless plug in there, Queen.
I like to help the kids. And like, I know what it was like when I was, given my first really good protection oil. I still got it. Okay. I know what it was like to have that given and being like, I'm not too sure. But once I used it, I was like, oh, we using this every time. Okay. If you're really into container magic, get into the work. Jazz is going to be doing like over here. Okay. Jazz is going to be doing a workshop on that soon. So if you haven't taken it, maybe ask if you can do an early access thing, a little student tutoring, whatever you need to do. You got to call on the witches, and you may have to talk to somebody you've never talked to that's a witch.
That's a great idea, though. Honestly, like a tutoring,
hello.
Yeah. And all of our classes are available in person or online. Check out the description below if you're interested. Okay, my babes.
Oh, who's talking about runes? I missed it. Oh, please. Why are we talking about runes?
Love
that runes. Is a vibration of runes, Look, I got my Freya candle right here in the back. It's a tiny little light over here, but she's over here.
If anything, even if you can't light a candle, whatever, best thing to do, go somewhere around your house. If you got a pendulum, you can use a little pendulum. You can use a dowsing rods if you would like, anything, use your intuition, whatever. Try and find your home's genus loci, your spirit of place. That is a great and my highest suggestion for a good first layer of protection, give them a good offering. Apples are a fantastic offering. Water is a great offering. I do use wine or rum as an offering, just depending on what I'm doing. But make a good connection with a good nature spirit, you guys. Great first level or layer of protection. Even if you can't light a candle, don't know anything about nothing, you can go sit and talk to a tree and give it some water.
Please. I would also say too, I just had it now.
I want to come in here really quick and say hello, Glenn. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining this live stream. Welcome to my channel, and I would love to open up this platform for you to really talk about what it is that you feel is important to hear at this time.
At this time, I mean, with everything that just happened today, oh boy. Oh boy. I woke up at like 1 today, and 2 hours into being awake, my sleep schedule's all messed up, so fun stuff. But yeah, 2 hours in, I was like, my energy can't take this. I need to go back to bed. I can't do this right now. I have to go back
Self-care. Self-care.
How intense today was. And I was just seeing, apparently they found pipe bombs, and I heard at least one woman got shot.
Yeah.
So it's just like
Mhm.
I'm livid. I'm livid for our country. Assuming everyone's American. Everyone's American here. That's in the chat.
Unfortunate.
I believe
Unfortunately.
so. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Born and raised here.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Very
So
unfortunate.
it's been a very rough top of finding out about that that page on Facebook. I'm just like, holy crap.
Yep.
They've been slamming far lefters for and saying things to the right side, and Facebook has no problem with slamming. They're just so silent, and it boggles my mind. It's just like Facebook is sure sending a message of who they stand with and what they support. It makes me sad. I'm hoping that maybe someone will listen who's up in the Facebook headquarters being like, oh yeah, this is hateful. Yeah, that's kind of been what's on my mind. I myself have my own frustrations when it comes to Christianity. My full opinions to a minimum, because I'm not sure how old it is to see how deep that shadow work goes with me, because I definitely have to do some shadow work on trying to.
They were kind of cutting in and out. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we should get to, our sacred blasphemy.
We're cutting it close to an hour.
Say that again?
So, okay. Do you have anything to say about
Hear what you
the live
said.
stream with
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Do you want to make any statements about Stand Against Witchcraft's Facebook page?
Okay. So, yeah. So just some of the things I was saying. He had a 7-hour stream today, which I only caught the tail end of it, but I was able.
Who has the money?
And he,
7 hours.
put some of my comments up, and it had to do with like abortion and stuff like that. So, and it's like, I'm like, okay, mean that you.
Before she comes back, I do want to mention. She definitely said, or they definitely said something. Sorry, they said something about what was it? Oh, the anti-witchcraft people were talking about abortion. Honestly, I really think the whole people against witchcraft, whatever their name is, witchcraft is just a buzzword. Honestly, if they're talking about shit that is not even related to witchcraft, they're really just trying to get a rise out of people, in my opinion. If you're really against witchcraft, that should be kind of what you're preaching on, specifically. Not that I've taken a long look at their page, but if they're mentioning abortion, I mean, I guess if you guys have ever seen what's that show with
The 700 Club?
No, it's a the Cup Wife is Penny Dreadful.
Okay.
Penny Dreadful. The
I was
Cup
like,
Wife
well.
the Cup Wife is there performs abortions, as the Cup Wife. And I guess she was a magical person, like a natural witch, you could say. But like I said, I really just think they're using witch or witchcraft as a buzzword just because people recognize that more and they're trying to stand apart from the regular Christian group. You know, that's something that makes them more, oh, they have a thing that they're against, and then they're just using it to preach hate, like a lot of other groups such as this.
Westboro Baptist Church, you know, they've got their thing too.
I think they do, but I also feel as though, kind of like how me and Jazz were talking about it today, the fact that their actual, how can I say, congregation is literally for this and supporting this, there may be a couple cool people in there, but they're supporting hate against those who believe in anything that they don't believe in. If witchcraft is their word, that's okay, but it's just kind of like they're pinpointing it for a reason. Just kind of like the Proud Boys already knew what they wanted to do today. Everybody was suited up and ready. I'm sure, like, Mr. Shaman Man or whoever the hell he is, you know, Jake and Jelly, I'm sure he was suited and booted and already did his face paint in the morning. You know what I mean? Before he got his little Trump rally ready to go. You know what I mean? And like Jazz was like saying in her video, these are really the modern day witch hunters. These are the people who will persecute us on sight. They're already going after this woman who is just a tarot reader and is Roma. She's not even a witch. She doesn't identify. But they wouldn't do this, you know, I mean, like at a Love and Light place. They wouldn't do this if it was like, oh, we're just talking about the Ascended Masters. You know what I mean? This isn't going to happen at these commercial spots. These are going to happen to the local people. These are going to happen to the people who do the mystic work. They do the work of the priestess. They do the work that their families gave them, that their ancestors gave them. This is
on the ancestors.
You know what I mean? They're like literally threatening her and sending like hateful messages, like hate speech.
I feel like, and I do have to get off of here, but this is my last comment. I do have to say, though, that taking upon the title label of witch comes with this price, and that's just it. You know, like we claiming the word witch brings to you as well the baggage of historical nuance that's attacked us and affected us. You know, so. It's not to me something that we should hide away from. If anything, it should embolden you as a witch to realize that there are people out. I mean, even as a gay person, there are people out there wanting you to die because you just exist and you are outside the norm and you are outside the current. So this, to me, if anything, shouldn't scare you, but should embolden you and should encourage you to be like, I am that badass motherfucking witch, you know, like I claim this word, I claim this title with all of the historical baggage and bloodshed that comes with it because I'm a witch and therefore I am. I was born a witch, I will die a witch.
Period.
And that's it to me, you know, like if they really want to come at me, just do it. Like it's not going to hurt me any, you know, like calling me horrible things or anything like that isn't, if anything, is going to make me laugh because you recognize that I have more power than you.
That right there.
The tea.
Right there.
The tea.
I mean, people come for, weak people come for powerful people. That's just how it is. And you could be little old granny weatherwax on the side of the town, you know, in the woods. Or you can be one of us living in an apartment. We're here, we are plentiful, and we are Legion Queen. So
exactly, just like I said, we are the witches. We are going over.
Yeah.
We are your cashiers at the grocery store. We are your nurses at the doctor who takes your
waitresses.
We are your hairdressers. We are your phlebotomists.
Yeah.
We are your bankers. We are your babysitters. We are going nowhere. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samuel, for coming on here and for speaking
Fine.
the truth and for standing with the witches.
Thank you, you guys. I love to talk about it. Stay safe. Put up your protections. Hug or lick a tree. Get to know them. Protect yourself. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, out of curiosity, up until the point that I got here, what we all what was the whole discussion?
So
A little
actually,
sum up.
the discussion of tonight's live is LGBTQ gods and talking about
Okay.
how our pagan gods actually support the LGBTQ community. But first, we were talking about what was going on at Capitol Hill, and then we were talking about the expose on a Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Just real quick, my phone's at like 1%, so I'm about to disappear. But it's been very enlightening and amazing talking to all of you guys. And I do want to say, like, just put up your protections, keep yourself safe, watch out for your brothers and sisters. Because we are also, I mean, not all of us, but we're also the underdogs here. You know, we're not causing any harm, we're not causing any issues, but we're getting a lot of scrutiny and hate for minding our own business.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say, but thank you so much for having me on, and I hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So basically we were trying to talk about the main topic here is the gods of the LGBT. But we got swept into talking about
We got in.
because what is going on in DC takes precedence, right? Like we don't want to be tone deaf as witches, as content creators, as authors. We don't want to be tone deaf, and so we want to make sure that we pay homage to that. And then, of course, we were talking about the expose I did on the church that is literally witch hunting. Like, and they say this themselves.
Yeah, that's been on my mind.
So let me say this. Have you seen the video that I made?
I started watching it, and then because a lot of the clips that you showed or were showing, I watched the 3 hour. Like I watched everything. Like I watched the 3 hour. I went back and I watched it. Yeah, I watched it because I wanted to know what they were saying. It's like, what are these assholes saying? Excuse my French, but what are these assholes saying about? And I like how in the beginning of the video he's like, I've been to New Orleans. I've met Satanists. I've met these people. I know what you do. And it's just like, you know what they do.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what they do. You don't know what I do. You don't know what Jasmine does. You don't know what I'm sorry, I didn't get your names. I apologize.
You're okay.
Okay, real quick.
Nerd witch.
Really quick.
Nerd. Right? Warlock. Okay. Nerd Warlock.
A little bit of an introduction here. So let's start from top to bottom. I'll start first, and then Sydney, and then our guest, and then Jake. You're gonna end it if you don't mind, okay?
Okay.
I'm start, you're finish, okay, Jake?
Okay.
You know I love you. So if you're here, hello. My name is Jasmine. I'm a high priestess of the Solar Court Coven. I'm an instructor. I'm a metaphysical business owner. Okay, hello. And I am pro LHP. LHP in the sense of left-hand path. I'm here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook as Jasmine Ambrosia. So if you have questions about LHP, please feel free to to message me. Hello. And I'm going to open this up to Crafton, and we're going to go through. Let's just do a little introduction here. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney. I am a business owner of Crafton Magick. You can also see me at our local store in Indianapolis. if you're local. I am also a tarot reader, a rune reader. I also teach Crash Course on the Norse Pantheon, as well as the Elder Futhark runes. And I also teach the Advanced Bind Runes class at our store, virtually and in person. I already told y'all I do readings, do hella readings.
And
And I love astrology.
I want to say too, not to interject, but Crafton is a coven daughter of mine.
One of the kids.
One of the kids. Okay, so our new guest, will you please introduce yourself and feel free to plug any social links as well.
I'm Jacqueline Grady. I've been following Jasmine for a really long time, but recently we became friends on Facebook, and that's been like really awesome to see kind of more personal life.
Yay!
But
I'm
as
so
far
happy. Oh my god.
yeah, I know. I love being connected to all my witchy friends. It makes me feel so happy. But I've been trying to start a tarot business. I'm kind of trying to get right with my mental health first. Because mental health and doing readings for people can kind of get in the way. And I have ADHD, so it's kind of, I ignored it for about 7 to 8 years because I thought as an adult, oh, I don't need medication. I don't need therapy. Yes, I do. Everyone does. Everyone needs therapy. And found out that for a lot of adults with ADHD, it gets worse in adulthood. If you don't take care of it, it gets worse. So that's kind of been my main focus. I recently have been exploring the idea that for a while, I thought, oh, I'm just a cis woman. I'm just a cis woman. And then I realized, no, I don't think I am. I think, so I've been exploring different non-binary terms. Because I feel more non-binary, non-binary woman, femi non-binary. I've been trying to find my niche to make sure that I know as much as possible about those communities, about those people that do identify that way, because I never want to take anything away from anybody. And that can be so easy to do as a white person, to take things away from people that, you know, have struggled all their lives with their identities and who they are, color, skin, LGBTQ, all of it. And I never want to take away from anybody. So I've been trying to explore that because the last 5 years I've explored paganism, witchcraft, tarot. It's kind of taken over my life. And I kind of forgot to explore sexuality more than what I did when I was 19. I just turned 28 in November. So 19, that's about, what is that? 9 years of not just saying, oh yes, I'm pansexual, and that's it. And I should have explored more, and that's what I'm working on right now. Because you're not just a sexuality. You have, people can be sexualities and a different gender than what they thought they were. They can be multiple sexualities, and it's something that I'm learning about because I want to know about the different communities out there, number one, and then I want to know what I feel about myself to be true. So, and yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on recently when it comes to sexuality and gender identity. But yeah, I consider myself a eclectic pagan witch. I know a lot of stuff about the Fae, and I've been last year and a half, I've been working with the god Hades and Persephone. So, and I seem to have a niche for not being too into the macho gods, but I really like those flip-floppy kind of feminine gods. I like my elven boys.
Lynn, with hesitation of interrupting you, can I ask, is your preferred name Jacqueline, or what should we refer to you as on this?
I'm okay with Jacqueline. I'm okay with Jacqueline. I've thought about getting a new name, but Jacqueline is my middle name, and I've always been attached to it because it's a family name. So, yeah.
Or preferred pronouns?
I like she, her, and they, them. I like both of them. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for letting us know so that we know how to properly address you. And thank you again so much for coming on to the podcast. Warlock, will you just reintroduce yourself again?
Sure. Hello, I'm the Nerdy Warlock, and I'm on YouTube and on Instagram at the Nerdy Warlock. And a little bit about my path. It is rooted in Celticness, but I go everywhere. Especially, I like finding parts of different cultures that are like kind of the underdog part, right? So, like in the North Sea world, I'm all about Uller. Like I love Uller. Yeah. I love seeing how cultures interlink historically. I'm a big history person, so anytime I can like validate my path through history or vice versa, I'm like all about that. I'm a nerdy warlock.
So can we talk about?
I do want to apologize. I do want to apologize if I talk way too much. It's part of my ADHD thing where I just talk for a really long time. So if you ever need to interrupt me for any reason, please do. I just thought I'd interject there for a second.
It's okay. We all get swept. You see how long the last
Hey, that is okay. So let's talk about some of the gods of the LGBT. Can we get into it?
Yes, we can. I'm so ready.
Please, Warlock, will you lead us in this blasphemy sermon?
I mean, where do we start? Oh my gosh. So first off, I think when looking into pagan gods, you should forget what you think you know at the door.
Ooh, that's so
because a lot of what you're going to find through books and the internet is going to be heavily veiled through people who wrote it who were probably Christian themselves because they wrote them down historically, like as monks. So you're getting Christian slants on gods and goddesses and spirits. You're also getting heteronormative views on gods and goddesses. So, for example, me personally, I feel like a lot of the gods that have been recorded as having stories about cross-dressing, I think a lot of that was probably people who either didn't have the language for or tried to omit transgenderism.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm just going to jump in and say, for example, in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, we have Shiva. Everybody knows Shiva, right? Like, everybody knows Shiva. You have Shiva and you have Parvati. And, sorry, sometimes I go into this weird Russian pronunciation of everything. I apologize. But Shiva and Parvati. And they're the same being. So Shiva is a male. Parvati is his female self, his female embodiment of himself, which he falls in love with and merges with to become a new god. And that god, hang on, I wrote down the name. That god has like 9 names. But one of them is Ardanarisha. Ardanarisha, I think. There's a lot. But I think that's so cool. And as that god, there are statues of them in that form in India and Pakistan still. And they have genitalia from both genders on the statue. I mean, that's you can't say that that's a heteronormative god at that point, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, there's literally in every single culture, almost in every single culture, we have very prominent queer gods, be them bisexual, gay, transgender, or something else, lesbian. The only ones that I feel like have actively tried to erase their history of queerness would be like Egypt, and China. However,
Yep,
what's
yep,
interesting
yep.
about Chinese gods before Buddhism is that, girl, they all gay. Like they're all gay. You can look at any of them and they're all gay. And they really tried to suppress it, and it really came and bit them in the butt. Like the minute like Taoism came in, and Buddhism, they tried to appropriate a lot of these gods as Buddhas, much like they did with like gods becoming demons or fairy queens over in the West. But it bit them in the butt, and it's like the homoeroticism in the artwork from 1,000 years ago in China is beyond. But I mean, is there a specific god you guys want to talk about?
So I would love to talk about hermaphroditus. Can we talk about hermaphroditus? Because I think when a lot of people think about gods of trans people, they think of the word hermaphrodite. And the word hermaphrodite, we actually have a deity known as Hermaphroditus, who is the patron god of trans people, prostitutes, and hermaphrodites. Can we get into it, Warlock? Can we get into it?
Yeah. So already if I say hermaphrodite, that's just because that's how I learned it. But hermaphrodite already has like such queer parents, being like Hermes and Aphrodite. But I don't know all of, because there's not really many remaining myths specifically about Hermaphrodite, unfortunately. We just kind of have like the creation myth from what I have found. But I just think it's fascinating that, especially with current events, and the mentality that we have today, people constantly want to say that, never mind gay people, but they always want to really push home that transgender people are something like brand new that came up because of the culture we live in now. And I love anytime you can bring up someone like Hermaphrodite to be like, mama, sweetie, baby, no. Like, they've been here forever. It's just that history erased us, okay? History erased LGBTQ people, okay? It happened. But no, Hermaphrodite's great. However, I also like a god from, I forget specifically where in West Africa, but Mawulisa?
I don't know that one.
Awesome. Because Mawulisa were twins. There's so many instances of twin gods in all over the world, and usually they're all very like homoerotic, which is interesting. But you have Mawulisa, and they're twins, a boy and a girl, and they wind up merging themselves into one new being, and they become like the top tier god, which I think is fascinating. When a culture says, "Oh yeah, no, God is either genderless," like I think that's very brave, or if they say, "Yeah, God is presenting of both genders," like straight up. That's like woke as fuck. So, but Mawulisa is amazing and had such a huge cultural influence on these Yoruban people until we got white people coming up in there and telling them that Mawulisa was like a perversion and probably a demon because it was presenting as something that was neither and both. I'm going to go on a tangent, I'm sorry, but there's a really good article from pride.com called 52 Queer Gods, I think, right? Who ruled the ancient world. And that's a great jumping off point for anybody who's interested in any kind of like part of the LGBT spectrum.
Okay, can one of you guys link the the link for the live chat down below in the chat box. Can someone post that link in the chat? We have some folks wanting to join the chat room, so I just want to make sure that we have that link posted down below.
Oh, Jacqueline, I'm just seeing your comment for Morgan Daimler.
Yeah, Morgan Daimler. Someone, I was trying to figure out how to do, like, put a chat in the chat that I see on the link that we're using. And I'm wondering if I have to go to the chat on YouTube instead. So
I think it's
the chat in. But yeah, no, Morgan Daimler. Sorry, keep going.
Oh no, you're fine. I think it's like I don't have like a login, so I think that's why I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm having a problem as well. Like I can't get it to paste. Or she's trying to do the copy and paste.
But yeah, no, I now brought up YouTube, and I think I could post directly to the chat. But what link are we trying to post though? The one
for this live.
Yeah, so folks can actually join the live.
Okay. Let's see if I can grab that.
I am technologically.
I had to like get all of my tabs closed because it was slowing down the live stream. So one moment.
I am technologically incompetent, so please forgive Grandma Jazz. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's figuring it out as she goes, okay?
She's a little schwip. That's okay.
All right, let's see. Do you want me to put it in the YouTube chat?
Please.
Let's see.
I didn't know EA Co-Editing was doing a Norse Magic one, but no, wait, I did. No, wait, I did because he did have one on Loki.
Hello, welcome Hazel Redwood.
How are you guys?
Thank you so much for joining.
Of course.
So, what would you like to input as a special guest on my channel?
Let's talk about that Facebook group.
What about the Facebook group?
Like, how do we get rid of that?
What Facebook group, Hazel?
No, the one that they were talking about like killing pagans and stuff.
She's referring to the church.
Yes.
The church conversation. Essentially, Hazel, we're just going to have to do our work in the digital, the physical, and the astral. Okay?
Okay. I've been doing that, so.
Okay. So
I miss you guys, by the way.
Hazel, have you seen the video that I did?
I saw bits and pieces of it because I was at work when I got it. And from what I saw, let me tell you, I was not happy. From walking on that page, I was not happy. But no, I just figured I'd join you guys and see what was going on tonight.
Well, welcome. We're talking about LGBT gods. Warlock, would you like to carry us through the session?
Sure. So, I mean, if we want to talk about Greek and Roman gods, because pretty much all of it have like a rough understanding of who those gods are. I find it interesting. Actually, Jacqueline, you made me think of it earlier. You talked about your aversion to like the hyper masculine gods, right?
Yeah.
And, which I totally feel you. And I think most of the time the hyper-masculine gods are like the king gods, like Zeus and Odin and all these people. But Zeus
Absolutely.
and Odin, particularly Zeus, has like a huge history of not being straight.
Ooh,
and,
Almond
and,
Rock.
Yeah.
and of not
Say it.
and of not being hyper masculine. I feel like we didn't get those interpretations of those gods until after the fall of Rome, really. We start getting Christian
Yeah.
influence on paganism, and I think that's when we got a lot of toxic masculinity. But
Well,
yeah,
I think
Odin-
Christianity.
Oh, go ahead.
I think Christianity in itself has actually a lot of problems with the history of pagan gods and goddesses.
Absolutely.
Personally, but Aphrodite, if you look at her, she was very, she has masculine aspects. If you look at Freya, she again has masculine aspects. So when you're looking at the gods and goddesses as a whole, you have to look at both the feminine and the masculine within them.
Right.
I would say Freya's more, at least for me and my experiences with her, I think because for my experience with her, I can't say for everybody else, but for her being like a goddess over like love, beauty, war, death, and witchcraft, or at least satyr, I would say that like a lot of the work I do with her is very transformative. I feel like she has more, I don't know, I feel like the stories I've read of her do not portray her more completely masculine. I feel like she could have it in her because I feel like the gods of the Norse pantheon are created from the environment they're in. And that is basically, you know, the harsh weather, the harsh storms, that type of like climate is different than like for somebody over in Greece, for a god over in Greece. I could see that. I feel like she's more firm and direct. You know what I mean? I feel like she only plays so many things, like so many riddles, because I feel like that's always been like a Loki thing. Loki is like actual transformation because he can be anything from like the fly, you know, in the room, you know what I mean? Like very covert and seeing things from a different point of view. Or he could be like a salmon and be slippery and slips through your fingers just when you think you've seen everything like written in a contract, you know.
Throw something there.
Yeah, like there's always like something that like they evade, you know what I mean? Like they get through it, you know. And I always enjoy those aspects of reading about Loki because they're so different, especially the story of being the mayor and like birthing Schleppnir. Like, come on now. And being like a horse, you know, being able to get like the Millionaire, Glepnir, and all these like magical tools that like we identify with now, at least like in the pagan culture. I feel like Loki's kind of opened up the floodgates essentially to possibilities and thinking ahead of time, or if you're in a tight spot, then you have like another way to go about it.
Absolutely. If you remember, in one of those, Loki actually accused Freya of sleeping with all the gods.
Well, you know, she is over fertility. You know what I mean? Some of the kids say she's like for sexuality. I'm like, I mean, you know, she sleeps around with Freyr sometimes. You know, just a little bit. But you know, I feel like Loki always would accuse because they were just kind of like, let me stir the pot. You know what I mean?
Well, look into your life. Where does Loki go? Where does, you know, when you're looking at both gods and goddesses, you have balance of everything. So where do they play a part in, like, where do you see them coming up?
Yeah, I feel like Freya for me personally comes up in more of a for me right now, she's very much for like shadow work and very much understanding my own shadow and where that plays in my life. I haven't personally worked with Loki, but I feel like Loki would definitely I actually remember reading and listening to a little bit of Random Witch on YouTube, and they were explaining their experience with Loki from a couple of years ago, and they said like it's not to be revealed when working with Loki. It's very much like you
Like a
have to
mystery
find this
tradition?
out.
Like a mystery tradition in and of itself, like Loki's teaching, you mean?
I guess so. Like that's kind of what I
Yes.
took from it.
Yeah.
This was also Random Witches
Right.
on YouTube, like talking about it. I just remember I was like going through, the entire Norse pantheon, you know what I mean, through YouTube. And I was like, let me just hear a couple stories for the day while getting through the workday.
I want to hop on here and just kind of interject. Okay. So Hazel,
Got off topic.
Hazel, if you would introduce yourself a little bit, plug any social media links that you would like to, that would be great. You are you are a ex coven daughter of mine.
Yes.
So speak on that.
Okay.
Speak on that, babe. Speak on it.
Okay, so there's a lot that goes there. And Syd and Jasmine were there when I went through my dark side of the moon, so to speak. And
Oh, Jacqueline. Oh, well, no, Hazel. I'm sorry.
Did we lose Hazel?
Well, spirits sometimes be messing around, okay? In the physical, the digital, and the
Here
No,
she
no,
is.
no, speak
Here
tonight.
she is. Look, she's an ex-coven daughter of mine, but she is still a child of mine. Let me add her to the story. Hazel, honey, baby.
I'm back,
come
guys.
on.
I'm back.
Hello, welcome back.
Did you get a low-key moment?
Yeah,
I had a low-key moment there, yes.
Yeah, Hazel, talk about your experience in the SC, in the Silacourt Coven, and in the Samhain to Samhain circle, because that's top secret. Not even Patreon has heard about that, okay?
Really? Okay, so circle was actually my favorite part of being in the coven. And I've actually, out where I'm at now in New York, I've tried to start the pagan community up, and I'm starting to become a recognized member out here. And I'm bringing the community out because Indiana had such a wonderful pagan community, whereas here it's all hidden in the mountains type thing. But my favorite,
here?
New York.
New York? Okay.
Like upstate New York. I live in Cowland.
I'm smoking
Literally.
too, Hazel. I'm smoking too. Don't be afraid. You can get on video. It's okay.
No, it won't let me load my video. The camera won't work. If I hit the camera, it turns the mic off.
Sure.
Y'all know I'm scared of cameras, but still, it's seriously not working.
It's the God's back.
No,
sometimes they do that.
Yeah. And we all know I have problems with electronics, so it's okay. But Circle was my favorite time because that was all of us got together and we were able to raise so much energy and put into a physical reality of what we wanted, and we could sit there watching things happen. I remember for Yule one year, we all picked, a certain goddess at the time, and
fourth power,
what
babe.
was it?
Fourth power.
Yeah.
Fourth power.
What was it? What was it? 3 days we had a huge snowstorm.
Okay, don't reveal all the secrets of the coven. Fourth power, babe.
Not all the secrets.
You want me to tell it?
You tell it.
Yeah.
You tell it. Sis.
Yes, I'd tell.
So,
but then there was the bad parts.
So once upon a time, many, many moons ago, we circled together. We had a great time. We enjoyed ourselves. And upon one Yule evening, we were, drinking our cakes, drinking our ale and eating our cakes.
Not drinking our cakes.
I mean,
if you put it in a blender, maybe.
I mean, but overall,
we're drinking our cakes.
Overall, we were having a good time, and one of us was looking upon our ale, and it actually looked like a snowflake. And we all passed it around. We all looked at it. We were like, that's crazy. Wow, look at the gods. and
Okay,
such,
Kaliak.
You know, and next thing you know, as soon as we get outside, it is the Kaliak, it's the snow.
And the
It's
snow
snow
came.
everywhere.
The Kaliak came. The
Okay.
Kaliak came.
Okay. She came and she was not leaving, honey. It was literally snowing probably the full time we were together. And we just hadn't noticed. You know what I mean? You get swept in ritual sometimes. But Hazel, love you to death. I'm glad to hear from you. It's been a long time. Okay.
You too, Sid.
It's been a long time coming, Hazel. And look, even though you're not in the covenant anymore, the coven still loves you and protects you and guides you
I know.
for always.
I know.
Can we come in prayer for a moment? Can we all just raise our hands in prayer for a moment? Let me just say this now. Dark Goddess, Unholy Queen,
Unholy Queen,
Infernal Host of all things unseen.
Okay.
Grant us power, wisdom,
Hello.
and might
Hello.
as we work your will this night.
I'm wrong.
Out of that scorpion snake, guard the crossroads that we take.
Okay.
Dark Goddess, Infernal Queen, Unholy Host of all things unseen. Grant us power, wisdom, and might as we work your will this night.
Okay. This is what I'm saying about people who have faith on their heart. Okay. When you can literally breathe, or as we say with runes, ansus, where we literally breathe and communicate with our breath. That is faith. That is love.
Yes.
And can we just talk about, too, since we're on the topic, what does a high priestess mean to you? Let's go through the chat here, because I would like to understand what it means to you guys as a high priestess. I would like to know what that means
with me. I'll let her in, Jenny. I'll let her in too. I'll make some shirts.
All right, I guess I'll go first. A high priestess is someone who can take into account the benefits of everyone around them. They know when to make decisions that help the coven or the community, and they don't the people around them unless they need to be taken care of. Someone who's loving and motherly, like Jasmine.
Okay.
I think that's who can lead. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got, guys.
To
I
me,
agree.
I've been a solitary practitioner for a long time. I just joined a coven about a year ago. Unfortunately, there was COVID that happened, and then some personal things that happened with my coven leaders. But
I'm so sorry.
It wasn't COVID related, but it was definitely a whirlwind of a lot of heartache, and they've got it figured out now. So that's blessings all around now. But yeah, we weren't able to meet for months and months and months. I was missing my coven a lot. But to me, a high priest or a high priestess is a couple things. One, it is a leader of a coven that can lead and guide and show the rest of the coven these teachings and these works that can lead us through this, but also know that they are not above us so much that we have to grovel beneath them, that they are trying to teach us to become them, to move forward in our own spiritual practices. So we ourselves are our own personal high priest and high priestess of ourselves and of our magical practice. And
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that's
Thank you. Thank you.
and that's because you can be in a coven and you have someone that's a leader. Every group needs someone to kind of push the group forward, but at the same time, even in my coven, even though they're the leaders of the coven, that doesn't mean that they don't want to hear what the rest of the coven has to say, because they do. They want to know what we have to say and our input, and they want to know what we're learning about and what we'd like to learn. If there's things that they're not teaching us that we want to be taught, then they will either get on that and try to teach us that, or allow us as a coveneer to take the reins and teach something to the rest of the coven. Because I think even though there are the high priest and high priestess, we're all learning, but we're all teachers as well.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. So, yeah. And I've been a solitary practitioner outside of my coven as well, which is very important for my coven. My coven's like, well, if you're not going to practice outside of it, then you're not learning for yourself outside of the coven. You need to learn for yourself as well, not just only wait for the coven to meet. So in a way, for my own personal practice, I am the high priestess of my personal practice. I am taking control of my spiritual life, and I am continuously learning to be a witch, a pagan, tarot reader, whatever you are. Continuously learn and be open to being wrong and to learn to correct if that is what is needed. So you can be 80 and still not know everything. And that goes for life. That goes for, pagan witchcraft stuff. That goes for all of it. You'll never know everything. So be the high priestess of your life, but know that you still have a lot to learn, and go out there and reach out and learn it.
Amen.
So that's my spiel.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Amen Ra, and thank you.
I think the high priestesses are people who are fucking crazy because this is an individual who has decided to take on a lot of bullshit.
A lot of kids.
On purpose.
Honey, you don't have to tell me. You
consciously were like, you know what? Let's make stuff a little bit more difficult. I love that for you. Like, that's great. Because I think that high priestess is someone who has decided to be, like you said, Jacqueline, a mother to people, a teacher, and that alone is a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. But you've also decided to be like, you start playing so many hats, I think, in a coven when you're the high priest. You play the mother, the teacher, the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the bridge in between, not just like teachings and students, right? But you become like the bridge between. You can become the bridge between members when there's like, friction. You become the person who's like, now hold up, kid. Like, so I think
the idea you're looking for is maiden, mother, crone. Yeah. Sometimes the high priestess is the maiden to some of her coveneers. You need to go party. You need to party it up. Sometimes you're the mother. You need to take care and get them a cup of tea. And sometimes you are the wise crone, and you need to share that wisdom.
Yes, and I think that high priestess is like so adept at doing that. Like, they're so able to just move between modes. And I don't think not everyone can do that. But I feel like a high priestess can and does.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it's someone
powerful.
who's not held on by their definition of themselves. A high priestess is like a high priestess is mutable.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel as though I agree with y'all and everything you said. Cosign. I also agree with Ashara, because just kind of like what she was saying in the chat, like just really resonates with me. The high priestess of a coven I belong to taught me everything I know. She knew me when I couldn't see auras or spirits. She makes me feel like nothing is magically impossible. That is jazz for me. She's my craft mother, but she's also my big sis, Grandma Jace, and my bestie. That's my Bessie, because I feel like when we met, I was like, I mean, I got like witchy vibes or something. I mean, it's like nothing crazy, like I do something here and there, whatever I like to do every now and again. And she was like, "Hey, you just want to hang out or something?" And I was just like, what? I'm like, do
Bottle
what
of wine,
now?
bottle of vodka.
Exactly.
She made me like a good lunch. We had a kiki. I saw like her room of just amazing and beautiful witchy things that I had never seen in my entire life. I was like, yeah, I'm used to the kids that got like their Book of Shadows in a binder still. So like, this is cool. And it just kind of went from there, and I feel like every day our relationship grows and changes, just like, I don't know, just kind of like the maiden mother crone. Like she knows when I'm upset, she knows when I'm tired, knows when I'm pissed, she's like, you want to come over, you want to have a talk. She knows when to be the all four suits of the queens in tarot. She knows when to do it and how to do it, and she forewarns me if we're going to the swords. She's like, we may not be able to have this conversation, babe. I'm a swords today. I'm like, well, that makes sense. I need it today. So how to be mutable. You got to know. You got to really know how to adapt and change. And I feel like a lot of people who want to be high priestess, they don't realize how many people they got to take care of. It's not just you, baby. It's everybody. You got to understand when people have an argument, when people are upset, when people are happy, sad, when they're going through it. You have to really be the teacher, the creator, like the manifester of like, okay, what else is to come? Where do you think this should go now? How do you want to pursue this? You know what I mean? And not everybody's got the gumption for that. Not everybody wants to devote the time, because it really is a love and a devotion. It's no different than the work that they already have to do as their own high priestess in their own hearts and taking care of themselves and their families.
What she said. But it's so true. So much that a high priestess has to do to come up with ritual, to come up with proper, initiations. They have to be able to know when it's time for someone to leave the coven and go away.
Yeah.
And to whoever just left
Jasmine,
that
I
comment
think
about
you're
being more
muted.
girly.
She is.
I am. I muted myself because if I don't mute myself, I will talk and talk and talk. So I had to mute myself because I will go on and on and on.
Fair enough.
But my whole thing is this: as an HP as in high priestess, being a high priestess is very much like an act of service. So we are in service to our covenant and to our community. And there are rules and regulations and initiations to becoming a high priestess. You don't just become a high priestess by just simply declaring yourself a high priest or a high priestess. Like, that's not actually how this works. And if you guys are interested, I would be more than happy to explain how all of us could theoretically become an HP, because all of us in our own tradition are a HP. Absolutely. Like what Jacqueline said. We are the high priest or high priestess or HP of our own tradition. That is completely correct. In the SC, in the Solar Court, there are certain regulations and certain initiations that take place that I would be more than willing to share, and that Hazel and Crafton could also vouch for and speak for. So it's not just like something out of my rose quartz up my ass that I'm saying here. Like, this is a real true tea. There are real initiations that take place. And I can pull it up on my laptop if you bear with me. Hold please. Hold please.
And then I have a baby. So this is Ash, by the way. This is my 5-year-old little boy.
Where'd Sydney go?
I don't know.
Oh, probably internet issues. Like, I got kicked off because of internet too.
It took me like 10 minutes to even be able to get on here. I hit button. It shuts my mic off, and then will back me out of the.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I was not expecting this at all tonight.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. And then, okay.
Sorry. Sorry, Luna like fell asleep on top of the keyboard, so I had to reset.
Fair enough. If Jasmine wants to go back to the high priestess conversation, that is totally okay. But I wanted to bring up back to the LGBTQ goddesses conversation. Now, in my own practice, I haven't, because I work with Hades and Persephone, I haven't really found anything with Hades that says that he is into, other genders. And I think that maybe as I get to know him, maybe I'll find something that he's not as, stark women as I thought he was. But I'm still learning, still gaining a relationship with him as well as Persephone. But I was going to say with Greek pantheon, absolutely, a lot of them are very fluid gender-wise, very fluid sexuality-wise. I mean, there was this, I want to say it's this Tumblr post that went around for a while about Artemis and Diana, how the idea of virgin wasn't that you were actually a virgin, like the church, the Christian church tried to say what that word means. It meant that you were unmarried and you were having tons of sex. You were just having tons of sex. And there's a lot of rumors out in the ether about how Diana Artemis was actually more into women. And that's why she made that vow to always stay a virgin, meaning to never get married to a man. So, and that's, she's got all those her little female cult that follows her around and goes on hunts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I wonder how many of them she's coming to in the dead of night and loving on them, because that's probably what's happening.
She's trying to have an S-bet ritual, okay?
Yeah, so there's that. And then like I was saying earlier, I work with the Fae. Most of the Fae are very fluid gender and sexuality wise. Especially the fairy kings. They're very effeminate, very like angular jawed, beautiful. seemingly like they have masculine features, but like at the same time you have to kind of look like you have to look to be like, oh, okay, I kind of see, but at the same time, doesn't matter. Absolutely not. It doesn't matter if female, male, fluid, whatever. But yeah, when you work with the Fae, you kind of have to be more comfortable with sexuality and gender, because that line is so blurred. It's so blurred when you're working with the Fae. And one of my spirit guides, so I've been kind of up in the air about whether he's my spirit guide or my familiar, because he also shapeshifts into an animal, into a owl. So it's kind of, so I'm like, I'm not really sure what to call you, but I know that you're not, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what he is, but he's been in my life since I was 10. And it's been quite the journey of like evolving that relationship, but he's very effeminate and very flaunting, sexuality, and it can be intense sometimes, like very, very intense. A lot of meditations gone very strange. So yeah. But I mean, when you work with the Fae, that's kind of how it is anyway, whether sexual or not, or like underlying sexuality or not. The Fae realm can be very strange, especially when you get so deep into meditation. It's like, oh my goodness, it can be intense. Lots of grounding work afterwards.
You're giving me like much confirmation.
That's something I want to
Okay, so Jacqueline, you're giving me so much confirmation. I swear.
While we're moving on, Jasmine, I have a few questions for you guys.
Sure.
You've seen the gods or goddesses influence your lives?
Absolutely. Well, for me, yes.
Like,
Wait, what was the question?
How have you seen them
Influence our lives?
Yeah. Negative or positive?
Well, I guess
my spirit guide, when my spirit guide doesn't like romantic interest in my life, he'll nip it straight in the butt. He'll be like, nope, you're gonna see this issue about them. This is gonna be revealed to you because I already saw it. You don't want to be with them. Yeah, my spirit guide has helped me weed out.
Does that make you my spirit guide? I mean, seriously.
I feel like, I guess to me it's not negative. I've probably felt maybe at the time it was negative, but it turned out to be like the best decisions of my life. I was very much like a monotheist, like when it came to like my paganism. Like I believed in multiple gods of one pantheon, so I was like, I don't know, Jazz will correct me, but essentially like I just was like with the Egyptian pantheon and I thought that was it. But also too, everything that was going on in my life had to be like more of a, like I was in more of a monogamous relationship. And I did not want, like, I was like, nope, can't do poly. How could that work? No way. Well, when all was said and done, being a single Pringle now, the way the life is set up from like last year, I entered like my first like polyam relationship. And it was like, it was wild. Okay. And at the time, too, it's kind of funny because I was kind of like trying to figure out how to shift my perspective from monogamy to polyamory. And like, not like how, but I was just like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and at the time, I was looking into the Fae. Like, I was feeling called to the Fae. But then, like, things just kind of got, like, kind of haphazard, and I just, like, kind of, like, got swept by another god. my
Feel
thing,
that.
I just feel like I feel like I'm kind of, like, this, like, my soul is just, like, this tiny little, like, nymph. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, hopping on like whichever god's like shoulder, and then they're like, nope, I want that nymph. No, you got to come over here and learn this lesson. I might get pulled into a meeting with Odin. I may get pulled into a meeting with Freya. Then I start working with Freya. Then I don't know, like recently I started getting more direction that Fae were coming back in, and I was like, okay, like why? And one of my cards that I ended up pulling on about it was literally Morgana Le Fay. And I was like, oh.
Ooh. Okay.
So I was like, what? What? I thought we were. So everything you've been sitting and talking about, Jacqueline, has really just been like, I'm like, oh, the confirmation. I was like,
I've always been obsessed with Morgana Le Fay. Even if in her more darker aspects that she's been portrayed as, like Katie McGrath from the Merlin BBC show, I'm just like, oh my gosh, goals. Like oh my gosh. She's such a beautiful woman. But yeah, no, I've been obsessed with Morgana Le Fay since I was a small child. I always thought like, oh, King Arthur's cool, I guess. But Morgana Le Fay.
You're like, hold up, though. Y'all forgot about my girl.
I feel exactly the same way. Like, Jacqueline, I love you. Like, I love you. Like, Morgan Le Fay was my whole, like, gateway into paganism, witchcraft, period. Yeah. Like, when I saw her played by Helena Bonham Carter in the 90s, I was like, this is me. This is me.
You're like, it me, babe. It me. Come.
That woman was born to be a witch. Like that woman. And then don't even get me started on Eva Green, that actress. She played Morgan Le Fay on a short-lived show called Camelot. It was very short-lived. But I was just like, oh my gosh,
these
woman.
Confirmations.
This woman, this power. And every single time I've seen Eva Green play a character, it's always been some sort of witchy character. I mean, even on Penny Dreadful. On Penny Dreadful. Like, I want that tarot deck. That just purple tarot deck. I'm just like, it's simplistic. It gets to the point.
It online. It's so much money now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. When I was getting into tarot 5 years ago, I almost got it.
Yes, Jazz.
Okay, so what I want to say here, because I get a lot of DMs about this, about being an HP, a high priest, a high priestess, whatever we want to call it. I want to break down in the SC, the Solar Court Coven tradition, what actually makes a high priestess. Now, comment down below, or my guests can let me know, my guests who are on here. You want me to share this? Because I have the receipts right here.
What are you doing, babe? I don't know what you're doing.
What are we sharing?
You're on the Pisces moon, and I can't find you.
So, what is a high priestess? I have it right here.
Okay.
Just to make it clear. Okay. So, these days, only a fraction of witches come from an initiatory tradition.
Mm-hmm.
The title of HP has become easy to claim. Am I right or wrong?
Agreed.
Yeah.
There is no witch doctrine anywhere. No universities give you this title. I have heard 13-year-olds who are just beginning in the craft claiming that they are a HP. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So let's talk about leading by example, shall we? An HP, or a high priestess, is a person who leads a coven or a witch's ritual. So they would be knowledgeable about the craft. Am I right or wrong? Tell me.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
You
Okay.
need that.
I want you guys to correct me or chime in if you feel like I am giving misrepresentation here. Okay. So all of you have the authority and the right to speak over me and correct me if you feel like what I'm presenting is incorrect.
Okay.
So talking about, this is another common question. The basic difference between a priest or priestess and a high priest or priestess is the knowledge, experience, desire, and ability. One more time. Knowledge, experience, desire, and ability to give themselves into the craft and to be of service. To others and the divine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talking about the role of an HP within the SC, the Solar Court Coven, okay? Talking about like what purpose does an HP actually fulfill? Now, a high priest or high priestess or HP has responsibilities. You become an HP by the performance of the following duties, not just by merely claiming a title. You don't just wake up tomorrow and say, I'm a high priestess, I'm a high priest, I'm a this, I'm a that. In order to fulfill the responsibilities of an HP, you will need to be familiar with not only the basics of the craft, but in the SC Coven, you would be familiar with this. Advanced witchcraft. Magic and energy work. Organization. The planning of occult rituals. Event coordination. Management. People skills.
Praise it.
Conflict resolution. Okay. Ritual etiquette. Teaching others. Channeling and accepting the divine. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's...
So
Yeah.
here are some personality traits of what makes an HP. There are personality requirements for this role. Not everyone is cut out to be an HP. I'm sorry. Okay.
Frozen.
Yeah. I was like,
I think it's Let It Go.
let it go, let it go.
Well, we gotta adapt.
It's all right.
Oh, can I just say, if she stays frozen for a second, that we were talking about deities and if they've ever had like a negative or positive influence on you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
One that was like, I think good and bad was several, like 12 years ago. I was working with Loki, like on the daily, and I knew that I was a male who was attracted to males like very early on, so I never even like sampled the lady plate.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like in my early 20s when I started working with Loki that he was like, "Don't you want to do it?" I was like, "No, I don't." But
They would.
I can give you a very I could give you a very personal story, but I won't on air. But he pushed me into like exploring bisexuality. And now I'm like so appreciative of it, but at the time it was like it was almost like I was traumatizing myself
Oh,
because I was like kind of forcing myself to have sensual and sexual interactions with women. And at the time I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why can't I stop? I know. But in retrospect, it was great. But there was one instance in particular that I'm not going to say on air. But I was channeling, and I channeled Loki, and some things went down and came out and in. And it was a very transformative experience, which is Loki. So
felt.
I say that to say, if you're going to invite a spirit, especially like a chaotic deity into you and give them like full reign, just be prepared. Be prepared to deal with the emotional consequences later.
Now, can I say the rest of this? Okay, so for those of you watching, hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm a practicing witch of over a decade, a high priestess, this, that, and the third. Okay. Can we talk about these personality traits that conjure and create and birth an HP? Because yes, there are prerequisites, but there are also personality traits. And I want to talk about this. And I want you guys to comment on this. Those of you in the chat and my guests on air, feel free to chime in because I want to talk about this. So a prospective high priest or high priestess or HP should have the following qualifications. Are y'all ready?
Is this going to upset me?
It might upset some people.
It might.
It might upset some people.
It might.
This might upset some people. And just know this. I love you all. So the first thing here we have on the list is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Do we agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
That's an agree. I agree with that.
Okay. The second thing that we have here on the list is a solid sense of self-esteem and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Got to manage yourself before you can manage other people.
That's it. That's
Do
a
we all
word.
agree? Do we
That's
all
a
agree?
word.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong.
Okay. The third thing that we have on the solar court list is emotional balance. Do you think that your HP or any HP should be emotionally balanced?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they should keep their emotions in good order.
Yes.
That's in the 13 goals
Yeah.
of a witch.
They're the anchor of the group.
Hello,
Yeah.
mind, body, soul. You got to be all there.
I agree, but I would also add that it's okay to also be human, but you also have to, like you said, be the anchor for the group. So, if you are someone that's the leader of a group and you're going through a hard time, you're there for the group is there for you, but it's not just a take from the group, and it's not just a give that the group should give to you, but it should be circular. It should be something that everyone's helping everyone. Someone just happens to be the leader. So, if you're going through a hard time as the leader, be honest. Be honest with your group that, hey, I'm human right now, and I don't feel emotionally prepared for this. And I mean, I know some covens that have someone that is below them that will take over for a ritual or for like a few rituals, because the high priestess can't handle it at the moment. And if it keeps continuing, I know some covens that need to have that talk of, well, do we need to get a new high priest and high priestess or whatnot? So, emotional balance, yes, but also you're human, and the coven should understand that, and you should understand that as someone who is going to lead people.
Oh, that part. That part.
I completely agree. You know, the thing about being an HP is we are not the gods. We are not. We are mortal. And it's okay if you're an HP or you have an HP who is mortal and who is flawed, because we do need to be able to rely on our covens for security and stability. Because the thing is, a healthy coven, in my opinion, as an HP, should function as a hive. You know, the queen takes care of their hive and the hive takes care of their queen. And it's this circular motion that like Jacqueline was talking about. So I completely agree. I think it's important that an HP is not held on a pedestal ever.
Yeah.
And that they are very much an HP, in my opinion, isn't equal to the rest of the coven. They are of service to the coven, but they are not higher than. Don't think the word high in high priest or high priestess makes it greater than. That is not what that means. That is not what that means. So the next,
not only should they rely on, you know, each other, but also relate to each other. So
Absolutely.
the idea of, you know, having that sort of understanding. So anyway, continue.
So the next personality trait, and tell me what you guys think of this. And this kind of ties in with our last personality trait, is respect for others as well as the divine. This is a little bit controversial. Okay, so let's talk about it. A high priestess or high priest or HP should have a respect for others and the divine within everyone. What do we think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I've been learning myself is, you know, of course, the idea of self-respect, as well as there's this saying that I know a lot of people that are our grandparents and stuff like that, and our parents that like to say, well, respect is earned. No, respect should be the default. Disrespect is what's earned. When you do something that's disrespectful, then you have then earned that disrespect. But if you're just a human being, respect the human being. You know, respect should always be default until something happens that would say otherwise. So that's been something I've been learning lately. Because for some reason our parents and grandparents kept saying, well, respect is earned, and I feel like it was a way for them to give this idea that they don't have to respect you if you haven't earned it, according to them. So, and I think it's the other way around. You know, always respect. I don't care who you are, but always respect. And then it's disrespect that's earned, if it comes to that. And if it's worth it. Sometimes it's not worth it. So.
Agreed.
That's my spiel. So. Did she freeze again?
Warlock, what do you think?
Okay, there you
go. She was like,
I mean, yes, and yes. Like, I don't even know if I have anything to add to that. I mean, like, Jacqueline
sealed the deal.
When she finished speaking, literally in my mind, I was like, and that's on period.
That's it. They said it.
So shall we go to the next then? Because this next one I think is very much up for interpretation, and maybe you witches out there in the comment section or my lovely, talented, charismatic, beautiful witches here with me on live tonight. So the next qualifying personality factor, get ready for this. I think this is very much up for interpretation.
Oh.
Generosity of spirit. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to be generous in spirit? Really break this down for me.
Is that where you... I need definitions. Okay.
I'm going to Google as well.
I have to have a definition. Okay, the quality
To me,
of being kind and generous, the quality of fact of being plentiful or large. Okay. Right. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. Making sure.
that sounds to me, give more than you receive. Also, don't be afraid of receiving, but like, don't demand things in return when you give. And because spirit to me, I'm wearing a pentacle. Spirit is the fifth element. We've got our fire, water, earth, and air. Spirit to me embodies all of it. Giving all of that of yourself to your coven and to those around you. So generosity, kindness, care, understanding, and not expecting anything in return, but gladly accepting if things are returned. It's this idea that you not having expectations, but always, being open to being that caregiver, that person that wants to share their gifts, knowing your limits, but sharing gifts and being generous and kind with those gifts to others around you, coven or otherwise. Being an empath, I'm a weird empath myself. If I don't want to feel things from other people, I can cut it off. I learned how to do that. It's really weird. But like when I'm wanting to feel what other people are feeling and get a kind of an idea of what's going on with them, I'm not just wanting to tap into what's going on with them, but I want to also be giving of myself, especially if they're having a hard time. I want to know that I want them to know that I am there for them. So I'm giving of all of the elements that are within me to be able to ease their mind and their emotions and help them feel like they're not alone. We're not alone. And I think that's the generous with spirit. That can be summed up with the idea of you are not alone. To me, anyway.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think?
I think, yeah, like being generous in spirit is to check your ego at the door, to set your ego aside and to, like you said, to give without expecting something in return, to share your magical gifts, your emotional gifts with the group, knowing that it'll benefit the group and not expecting the group to, throw you something back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, you want me to go after that? I don't know what to say, Chad. I think generous in spirit. I feel as though it's essentially how you give yourself up. It's very much, I feel like, a let go and let the gods, because there are times that you have more of a teachable moment for somebody, or you can tell somebody's like a little too far gone, not as connected, maybe lost in their own mind, maybe lost in their own emotions. They can't channel, they can't connect, they can't vibrate the energy. And sometimes it is more of a coming to the gods kind of moment. And you yourself, as the high priestess, is supposed to understand when those moments are happening so that you can help somebody transform that moment to be changed and that person to grow. It's having the emotional intelligence to give when you know, even if you feel you are spent, this person or, this energy is needed in order to facilitate a change, and the hive mind and the collective can be consistent again. That if, something is lost, then we can come back.
So I want to chime in here. Here for this next one. And this next one, I think, is equally as controversial as our last one. And Sydney, why don't we start with you and work our way back to Jacqueline? So
Okay.
We'll go Crafton, Nerdy Warlock, Jacqueline. Okay, we're going to go in opposite. So the next personality requirement for an HP is vast patience.
Ooh.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, speak on it. Tell me.
Chad, you didn't have to be patient with me, because I tell you like it is. That's the problem. I really feel it's very much like you have to have the patience of the gods. You have to really channel, well, you're doing that again. I see you're doing that again. Okay, we'll wait. Don't worry, baby. We're right here. We're right here when you need us. I can't say what you're supposed to do until you're ready. Okay? Okay, when you come back, you just let us know, okay? You have to have that. Because impatience is not going to facilitate growth. It's going to make you feel less than, unimportant, not valued when you are. And creating or having those emotional toolkit, as I've been taught, is essentially to help that other person grow. And like, you have to have, as my mother would say, you would have to have the patience of Job to take care of the kids. So yeah, that's how I think about it.
I think you're absolutely right. What was the wording originally? It was vast patience, right?
Vast patience. Yes.
Yeah, I think you have to have patience, and it probably has to be vast. Because everyone is different. Everyone's going to come into the coven at on different levels of knowledge, of practice, and of like mental health. So you have to be willing to work with the individuals, and that's going to take so much patience because you might have your own standard of where you think your coven should be, and you've just got to like be able to you got to be mutable, Jasmine. So you got to be willing to adjust and to change and to facilitate to each individual member.
Yeah.
Fluid.
And that's and that patience, patience, and I would say patience and discernment. You have to have vast patience and discernment.
I like that word.
I just love discernment. Every time the judgment card comes out in a reading.
But yeah.
Yeah. For me, I have ADHD, as I mentioned earlier, so I have like no patience for myself. And that's the thing about having patience for other people's, because going to high school, I had to be on an IEP. I had to have all these teachers making sure I was doing my homework, and to work with students, because that's what a high priestess and a high priest kind of are. You're working with students of the occult, of magic, of witchcraft. Everyone's at a different level of knowledge. Everyone has a different way of learning things. Some people are really good at reading. Some people, they need to literally be walked through the steps to understand what needs to be done. And everybody's learning is different. Some people are visual, some people are auditory. Everybody's different. Everyone's different. You have to have that understanding that everyone is different. Not everyone's on the same level as you. Not everyone is the same level as John Doe over there. Like, you gotta have this understanding that if you're gonna manage people, sometimes you need to manage individual people in the way that they need that management, teaching, whatever you're going to be doing with them, and having the patience to do so. And I, for myself, I need to learn patience with myself. I feel like I'm really patient with other people, but not myself. And I think that's just that's a me thing. And but yeah, having the understanding that everyone learns at a different pace and learns in different ways. Because if you think everyone is, at this level, they need to learn like this, then you're going to have problems in your coven. Because
So
everyone's different.
Yeah. What do you think about this? This is like, now this particular pillar is, I would say, controversial. Okay. So psychological maturity. What does that mean for all of you? What does it mean to be psychologically mature? And should an HP be psychologically mature? Tell me. Any of you, Warlock, do you want to lead us here?
Sure. So, for me personally, speaking for myself, if you are not psychologically mature, sit down, and let somebody else do it. Sit down, because the things that are being asked of you as a high priestess, you're just not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. But that's why, for me personally, I do believe that high priestesses usually cannot be young people. Like, they just can't. They just can't. And when I say young people, I mean like 25. Just because that's just for me. That's just for me. Because in my experience of life, people heading into college, coming out of college, that's a chaotic time. And you are just not psychologically in a place, I feel, to guide other people. And yeah, there's going to be instances and blah, 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 blah. And I'm an old soul and that. But that's just me. That's my opinion. It is imperative that you have psychological, what wording did we use? Psychological,
Maturity.
Maturity, almost said intelligence. Oh, girl. Psychological maturity. It's so important because, like you said, Jacqueline, people are coming in on totally different wavelengths and levels and have different end goals. And, it's not going to be, people aren't uniform. And I totally feel you on the ADHD thing. I have Tourette syndrome. And that is like hyper challenging to work with me in a group setting, I'm sure. So I I would need someone who comes in with some psychological maturity and intelligence to deal with me. You know? So that's what I mean. I would definitely want a high priestess to have that the capacity for psychological maturity.
When in a coven, because a lot of times, so the coven I'm in, COVID kind of messed a lot of things up, but they have this idea that they want to be seen as everyone's second family. And that's great, and I love that. I'm still working towards that. I have some family stuff I have to deal with, so I have to redefine what family is for me, because of all that. But yeah, Christian parents love it. But when it comes to psychological maturity, when you're dealing with people that have mental health issues, disabilities, stuff like that, if you're not willing to learn about those things, when you encounter somebody that you want to get close to that have those mental health issues, disabilities, whatever is the PC term, then why are you trying to make have some sort of say in how am I trying to word this? You can't. It kind of goes into what I was saying earlier about how everyone learns in a different pace, in a different way. And if you have people that have ADHD, that have maybe they're on the spectrum and they have learning disabilities, and that they don't learn the way everyone does. If you're not willing to learn about that with people that you're trying to manage and teach, then that kind of puts you on this oh, well, I know that you have it. I don't need to learn about it. Yes, you do. You need to learn about it. You need to know what that entails. You need to know how you need to ask the person themselves, how can I make this learning experience better for you? Because that's also part of, psychological maturity is, not thinking you're on such a high horse and you have this big ego. You need to be able to talk to people and find out where they're at. And if you can't do that, if you think that you just know all and you're the know all be all ego person, then why are you trying to teach and manage people? You shouldn't be doing that. If you don't know how to talk to people, learn about what people are going through, learning about whatever mental health things they're going through, then you shouldn't be managing people, because you need to be able to know what those things are. You need to be able to have the conversation of when you meet someone, what are your pronouns? If you're not having that conversation first, that's also it's also not having psychological maturity, because this is the world we live in now. This is what, if you just look at someone and you start gendering them however you want and because you see them, however, then that's, you have to have those conversations, and you need to know where. Maybe someone else can say it better than I can, because I feel like my brain is going everywhere at the moment. But yeah, so yeah, psychological maturity. I don't think I can manage people right now. Why? Because even though I have self-awareness of what's going on with me, I am struggling to manage myself. That's what I need to work on before I could ever dream of being a high priestess of a coven where I manage people. I need to be able to manage myself first. And that's the thing with psychological maturity. You need to know that you are managing yourself first, getting your emotions together, getting your, kind of asking yourself, where's my mental health today? Can I teach people today? Can I lead this coven today? You know, you need to be able to walk through that. And right now, I know that I can't do that. And that's my point one for, you know, self-awareness. That's great. But I need to be able to check all the other boxes myself. So that's where I'm at. ADHD roller coaster spiel there.
I mean, no, that's psychological maturity right there.
Literally.
Thank you.
Well, again, tough text to follow, as usual. It's okay. I think psychological maturity stems from going through something your own self, but even if you haven't gone through it, knowing how to empathize as best as you can to where somebody is at. I feel like when it comes to being in a coven and like if there's not a lot of people of color, or if they're not a type of like group that doesn't have a certain vibration or atmosphere that's similar, then there's a lot of diversity there. There's a lot of change there that can happen. Kind of like what Jacqueline was saying, I'm redefining like what I view family as, because I'm always been like an only child. I don't what do you mean? What sharing? So I've had to kind of learn by how I've been led, essentially, on how to treat my own family, my own coven, my own sisterhood, because I've never been taught that. I've had to learn this secondhand. So it's kind of something that I feel like if you don't know how to lead that for somebody who's never been there, then it's kind of like, how can you lead a full group of people? Because, I mean, covens can literally grow and change and shift and morph. You could start out with 2 people. You could start out 3 or 4 or 5 people. You could go all the way to 13 if you want. But you still, as the high priestess, have to manage not only yourself, but all these personalities and where people are at. So
Yeah.
that's where I take it.
Yeah, this is so wonderful to hear all of you guys talking about this. It's very insightful for me. And I feel like as an HP, it very much helps put me kind of in check a little bit. And what you guys are saying, like, I really am taking to heart, and I'm applying that to my own practice and my own coven. And I'm really listening to what you say. So I really appreciate all of your feedback. The next one here is one that I think personally is especially important, and that is humility. Just humility. Just humility. That's the word there. Crafton, do you want to start us off, since you started last in the last go around? Can you talk about humility and like what that means and why that's important?
Okay. Just because you are, the high priestess, doesn't mean you will always be right. There will be times where what you say will not click with everyone. There will be times where it's kind of hitting a brick wall for somebody. And learning how to be like, damn, okay, I thought I was saying the things, I thought I was doing the things to help and work with you through this, but maybe this is something you have to figure out yourself. And just be able to admit that, admittance, to where you know in your heart of hearts, you're like, well, I haven't gone through that, so I don't know what that's like. You know what I mean? Especially in the times we've kind of been now. I feel like a lot of covens and like groups and witches in general are having more conversations essentially about, people of color? How does somebody feel? Can we empathize with that? How can we help them? You know what I mean? Or if somebody's coming for the group or the collective, how can we stop them? Having that humility and knowing that, like, hey, I don't always have the answers. That might be something you need to get out of a book. You may need to hear that from the gods. You may need to hear that from another high priestess. You may need to talk to somebody in the group about that. That's something not that you don't want to jive with. It's just that you're like, I honestly have no idea how that feels for you. So yeah, I feel like admittance and transparency is humility. That it's really like we say in runes, like Issa is the rune of ice, but it is also the rune of clarity. Even though things have stopped in your way, this is a time where the seed can kind of take root and something else can grow out of it. If you can't stand back, you won't be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I think
Basically, check your ego at the door.
mhm.
Check
That's
your
it.
ego at
That's
the door. Know that you are not always right. Sometimes you're wrong. And you need to have the humility, the ability to be humble, to be able to admit that and to be okay with that. Be okay with it to an extent, because you can't just be like, well, then I'm wrong. Learn. Be okay with it to the extent that you admit that you're wrong, not that you will not be willing to learn. You need to be willing to learn from those that may have the answers that you do not. And yeah, checking the ego at the door, constantly checking yourself, like, am I going on a power trip right now? Am I doing that? Is that something I'm doing right now? Because if I am, I need to check myself before I wreck myself, and then I lose half my coven.
That's it.
Because they got all pissed off that I wasn't listening to them. You gotta listen as much as you teach, as much as you talk. I talk a lot because I'm used to talking to people that listen a lot and don't contribute to conversations as much as I can. And that's something I'm working on with my significant other. I'm like, please say something, back and forth. But then I take over a conversation. And it's like, so it's something I'm working on, to be able to listen more than I talk. So, you gotta, that's part of humility, is, always have your listening ears on. So.
I think I totally agree. Humility is knowing that you're not always going to be right. Just because you're the high priestess doesn't mean that you're going to know everything, or that you're going to make the right decisions all the time. Sometimes you're going to make a bad decision, and you need to have the ability to be like, "Yo, that was on me. That was on me.
Ooh.
I messed that up." But I think there's a power in that. There is power in claiming your weaknesses. Like, weakness is power. When you can survey yourself as a high priestess and figure out what your weaknesses are in leadership and in other places, and know that you're going to have weaknesses in leadership skills, when you know what they are and you own that, it's like, well, sometimes this, and this is going to happen. I think that's going to make you a better high priestess.
Mm-hmm.
That's humility. And I think when people see you, when the coven members see you being a normal, full-rounded, normal person who has weaknesses, when you're not fronting as like this perfect witch, they're going to have so much more respect for you, because suddenly you are a full-rounded person who makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're more relatable. And when you're more relatable, people listen to you more and they learn more from you. People don't learn well from someone who has a perfect image. It's just how it is.
It's not
really
relatable.
Exactly.
right.
Suddenly you're creating this unachievable standard that you yourself haven't even achieved either.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I thank you again for your contribution. Our next one here, and Warlock, if you would start us off, okay, is charisma. What does it mean to have charisma? What does it mean, and why would it be important for an HP to have charisma?
If you don't have charisma, people are not they're not going to pay attention to you. You're going to be boring. Let's look at cults like cults. They always have a charismatic leader. Charles Manson, Jim Jones. They were so charismatic. And that's what got people to listen to them and to follow them. Yes, they used their charisma for evil. But charisma, I feel like sometimes people equate charisma to like physical beauty, and it's not that. You can be ugly as fuck, but have so much charisma that people are like, damn, like I want to listen to what they saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Charisma is, I don't know if I can even explain it. Like it's just like embrace that zhush about yourself, you know? Embrace those quirks and that stuff. Embrace your colors, you know, and push them out for people to see.
Speak your passion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think charisma is extremely important in all aspects of life, but especially if you're going to be a leader of any kind. You need to find your charisma and hone that charisma. Don't be afraid to show it.
Yeah, for me, I got to be rolling that D20 on that charisma roll, rolling that D20.
Please.
And to me, it's like big dick energy. That's what it is. Charisma is big dick energy. And like I said, speak your passion. I could talk for hours about witchcraft, the Fae, what I'm learning about Hades and, you know, Persephone and all that. I could talk for hours to anyone who wants to talk with me about it. And then like something I get real passionate about, Star Wars. I could talk for hours about my opinions on what happened with the sequel trilogy. Hours. I could talk for hours. But yeah, speak your passion. You know, you want to draw people to you. You want to create a coven that has a specific theme to it. You know, attract people with it. You know, be like learn about it, of course. Kind of know what you're talking about, though, of course, you know, when you were talking about the cult leaders, sometimes they were talking out of their ass and people still listen to them.
Yep.
Like the things that happen today.
Yeah. But when it comes to the witchy community, I feel like to have charisma really work, you do need to know what you're talking about. You know, at least, but also be open to learn from other people that you are talking with. So the humility is there, of course. Hi, Boo-Boo. My little boy is over here meowing at me.
Frey is here.
But like being able to have an idea what you're talking about, because I feel like because there's so much information out there, like I caved maybe about a year and a half ago, and I bought one of those Instagram witch books. I'm not going to say which one, but I was looking through the pages, and there's literally a spell for a crystal elixir that demands that you put crystals in water for 7 hours. And every single crystal was one of the ones that would dissolve. Or toxins and everything like that. And I'm like, yikes. So when it comes to information, if you are going to speak your passion, make sure some of that passion is, for the most part, correct, and also not going to cause harm to people that are listening. Don't be telling people that they can just put crystals in water, any old crystal that you want, because some of them give off toxins, some of them dissolve, some of them have really weird reactions to water. So that could be so dangerous, especially with all of our young witches out there that are really attracted to the Instagram witch books because they're pretty.
It can be some of the older
they look pretty. But man, there's some information in that. One, it's not enough. And two, some things are dangerous.
Crafton,
or they're not dangerous enough. Or they're not dangerous enough. They're just love and light. And they don't tell you anything about any of the other aspects of witchcraft. And it can be kind of dangerous. And that's where we get these testimonies on, like, the hundreds of testimonies on YouTube of why don't witches do that? Because we don't feel the need to make a testimony, because testimonies that Christians make are for the purpose of converting people. That is why those are there. So the reason why that we get a lot of those testimonies is sometimes they started out with those Instagram witch books, and then they encountered something dark and they didn't know how to deal with it. And it scared them.
So, Crafton, do you have anything that you would like to add to this, or should we get to our very last pillar? Because we have one more pillar left.
Okay. Charisma, I feel, this is highly cliche, but this is the vibe of the tribe. Okay. This is the attraction. This is the relatability to the point where you're like, I feel like I'm them. I feel like I would go through that. I feel like I am going through that. It's what pulls people in. It's what generates a sense of connection. Like when people say, like, they're like my best friend in my head, though. They're like, that's like my auntie in my head, though. Things about that. Things like that, I feel, are like the charisma. It's very much what draws people in to your personality, to how maybe you teach, how maybe you speak. It's the little things that pull people in and say, I want to learn from them, or I want to speak to them. It's being approachable almost, but in a way that people are like, I don't want to come too close, but I want to learn so much, but I don't want to be, like everybody, like how anybody else would be. I want to have an actual connection with this person.
Wonderful.
I think that some of that is about how you hold yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can have visual charisma too.
Absolutely.
People are just attracted. Yeah.
So our last tenet here is, and I think this one is also up for interpretation per the coven and per the HP. But our last pillar here is to be the divine's handmaiden. What does that mean, to be the divine's handmaiden?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that essentially like the bridge between the worlds? Because, like, the high priestess is essentially this idea that you are not only connected to the physical, but the digital and the astral too. You are connected to what the divine wants you to do in order to help this coven. Sometimes if like the high priestess might have like a matron or a patron or a spirit guide or ancestor, that might be sometimes the high priestess channeling a lot of like what they're getting from those spirits, like those entities. Essentially, that's how I see it. It's kind of like you have to be the bridge between both worlds. You have to see what's what's happening in the digital, what's happening in the physical, what's happening in the astral. What's ever happening in the astral might be, a natal chart, and looking at that and seeing what's upcoming for the year. Especially as a high priestess, you're at service. So sometimes you may be getting signs and symbols and things from above, essentially, that are telling you what you need to be looking for in the next coming month, year, second, day with this person, with your craft, with what you're doing, how you divine that in whether it's a form of divination or if it's a form of channeling or working with a deity or an ancestor or primordial force, however that is, you are that divine bridge, is how I feel.
I think the word that I keep getting from your explanation as well, psychopump.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
being a psychopump between the worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And, at the behest of the gods, at the behest of whatever energies and entities you're working with. And being that for your coven and making those connections, it's, just psychopump. I think that's just simplistic. I don't know how many people know I don't know if everyone knows what a psychopump is. Hecate is a psychopump. If she takes the goddess Persephone from the land of the living to the land of the dead. Every single equinox it is equinox, right? I think, yeah. So the vernal equinox, Persephone comes back to the land of the living, and at the autumnal equinox, she goes back to be with her husband, and Hecate walks her down that path. Mm-hmm. Hecate is a psychopump. Technically, Persephone is too, because she goes between the worlds. Hermes is also considered a psychopump. I've always also, to our hours ago conversation about LGBTQ gods, Hermes has always felt, a little, yeah, like I don't know exactly what he is, but he's LGBTQ in some way. But yeah, Hermes is psychopump because he will give messages to Hades from the Olympians. And so, so I don't know if everyone knew what a psychopump was, but in that context, those are gods and goddesses that are psychopumps. But a high priestess and high priest would need to be a psychopump for their coveners, their students, as well as be the between for the gods and their students. So in a way, high priest and priestess is a psychopump.
Jasmine, you got me, gal. Like I just
Okay.
As soon as you said handmaiden, my brain was spinning. I went down a dark hole of feeling like that wording is triggering me because it feels like so oppressive and toxic and not like female friendly. And I went down this whole hole while people were talking where I was like, oh God, women's rights. Like
that part.
And it made me think about when I was younger and people would be like brides of Christ. But anyway.
Ooh.
Now that I got through that tunnel and I've come out the other side, hearing you two give your
what does it mean?
Definitions of what it means. Well, yeah.
Handmaiden.
Let's not do that word. Let's just not do that word. At service to the gods. At service to the gods in 2021. You are at service through and to the gods. There you go. We're not using that word anymore.
That was my problem. But
no, I was lost too.
Take the word handmaiden out of the equation.
Yeah.
If that's what you need to do, take the word out of the equation.
Yeah. hearing what you two said it meant helped me a lot. So yeah, I guess to be that would be to like it's a recurring thing we've been saying about like putting your ego aside, but I feel like it would be to definitely like put your own ideas of what is right or necessary aside to receive that information from divinity or from the other side. It's like being a divine partner would be like assuming the role of like, you know, sometimes it's a recurring thing we've said, but like sometimes my knowledge isn't the knowledge that I need to give out. It's arcane knowledge. It's otherworldly knowledge. It's something different than what I expected. You know what I mean?
The way that I think of Handmaiden as well, so like I said, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and nobody likes the prequels. Well, some people do, but when those came out when I was in middle school, and I got like the visual like little reader books, and some of them were, I loved Padme. I absolutely loved her. Queen Amidala, she was amazing, and she had a group of handmaidens that would protect her, sometimes assume her identity to protect her. And there was this one book that I had where they're training to protect their queen. They're going through this obstacle course and dodging, you know, bullets and everything like that to make sure that they can protect their queen, and they're going to, you know, sacrifice themselves for their queen if they need to. And to me, even though there have been different definitions of handmaiden, as of recently, I couldn't even get through one episode of The Handmaid's Tale. I couldn't do it. It triggered me so bad. That is a fear that I have. But I have to think back to when it was handmaiden was a positive term, you know, so when you think of Padme Amidala as the queen, you know, the queen, the gods, being handmaidens or protectors of the gods, you know, protect them, understand them, work to understand them, and be the sometimes assimilate their identity to be able to give out messages, to be the physical for the gods, to be able to talk to students or your covenanters or whatever. So kind of weird Star Wars segue, but I mean, that's a positive handmaiden idea. You know, protecting the queen, protect the gods,
I think that was a lot of things.
Identity when you need to channel.
I think that a lot of things in the craft. Witchcraft is old, you know, this idea of covens and maidens or handmaidens and high priestesses and high priests and circles and groves and kindreds and inner circles and outer circles. These are age-old traditions that may or may not hold up to our current year, right? So like it's 2021, and kind of like with tarot, like tarot, RWS, Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, has not really evolved as a language, and we've evolved past that. And witchcraft, like I feel like with what Warlock was talking about, we can evolve past certain terminology, because the terminology which is used in the days of old is not necessarily the politically correct or even the accurate terminology that we should be using now. But I do think that this conversation has been insightful. As someone who is an HP, like I've really enjoyed genuinely hearing all of you and hearing your input, because I'm kind of like cataloging this in my mind and in my brain and like, okay, all right, making sense. Okay. And yeah, so we have been streaming now for over 3 hours, which is way past, way past my normal stream. I normally stream for 45 minutes to an hour, and we have been on here for 3 hours. So we do need to wrap this up, but genuinely, seriously, I really appreciate everybody in the comment section leaving their questions, their comments. I have seen all of the comments. I do appreciate all of the comments. You know, I really, really appreciate all of the interaction here on the channel, all of your likes, subscriptions, and please make sure that you check out, you know, my guests links, which I will be leaving down below in the description. Crafton Magick, Nerdy Warlock, Jacqueline. You know, Jacqueline, if you give me your links, I will make sure to put those in the description as well. And I
Sure thing.
really appreciate you guys being on air with me tonight, and especially, you know, Crafton and Nerdy, you guys have been with me now for like 4 hours, so I really appreciate the time that you guys have taken with me, with my channel, with my followers. And yeah, we are going to wrap this up because, like I said, we've been on here now for over 3 hours. But seriously, 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 thank you so much for being a part of this. And I would love to have all of you on again. I will be going live again tomorrow night. Hopefully with Jen, the taxidermy witch, but I will be open to having other witches on the live as well. So if you're interested, just send me a message and I'm sure we can hook something up. Okay. So
Yeah.
I think that we've covered a lot of topics tonight. You know, we talked about our last topic, what makes a high priestess or a high priest or an HP. We talked about what's going on in DC. We talked about the situation with the witch hunting church. And we touched on briefly, though not as much as I would have liked to, the gods of the LGBT. So maybe we can continue our gods of the LGBT in another live video segment. But I am going to end this live stream. And when I end this live stream, it will end it on our end or on the live end. But it won't necessarily end it on our end for my guests who are on right now. So I'm going to hit this end button. So we're not going to be on air anymore. And thank you so much again for joining us. And until next time, blessed be.
Blessed
Blessed
be.
be.